.com/credit card. Limitations do apply. This morning, Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are running without delays. Police activity is closing in the Hermosa neighborhood, closing down things along Fullerton Parkway, east and westbound between Pulaski and Springfield. There's a street blockage. There may be some CTA bus rerouting here very shortly for number 74 buses, but that's on the northwest side in the Hermosa neighborhood this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, and we get the latest with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy today. Periods of rain and drizzle for late afternoon. A high today 48. Rain tonight, low 42. Clouds and a bit of rain into early afternoon tomorrow. The high 45. Partly sunny Wednesday. The high Wednesday 46. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Currently, we have 46 at O'Hare, 47 at Midway, 42 in Aurora, 43 at DuPage Airport, and along Chicago's lakefront, 47. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Want a killer Black Friday deal? Get a free Moto 5G phone when you sign up for Pure Talk's unlimited talk, unlimited text, and 15 gig data plan for just $35 a month. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now to get this exclusive offer and to select the plan that's right for you and your family. Pure Talk gives you America's most dependable 5G network at half the price. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now to claim your free Moto G 5G phone with a qualifying plan. Pure Talk, simply smarter wireless.
SimpliSafe was named the best home security of 2023 by U.S. News and World Report. But we don't do what we do for the accolades. We do it to protect you and everything you love. Our advanced sensors and HD cameras are powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for fast emergency response. Visit simplysafe.com/radio to get 50% off any new system today. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
It seems like everyone is on a complicated diet these days. Gluten-free, keto, metabolic, sugar-free. And with these diets comes special dietary protocol and food products. You can find plenty of advice on your social media sites, but you need expertise to purchase the right food items. A visit to Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop is necessary to shop the best food choices for a medical diet or health plan. Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop stocks all the hard-to-find foods you're looking for, like wheat and dairy alternatives, sugar-free baking mixes, healthy snacks, and more. There's no longer a reason to put off that diet you're supposed to be on when you have Lil's. The staff has personally researched and vetted each item in the store and has plenty of choices in stock.
Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop on 111th Street in Mount Greenwood on the south side of Chicago. Stop in and shop in person or order online at lilsdietary.com and get your items shipped right to your home. lilsdietary.com. Shop, learn, and be healthy.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem. We'll ship a kit to you. It's so fast and simple to use, with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. There was a seismic political event over the weekend in Argentina with the election of Javier Milei as the next president of Argentina.
Oh, yeah.
Milei, we talked a bit about him after the runoff, but this is...
Because the world was comparing him to President Trump.
This is a pro-Western, free minds, free market, anti-central bank, anti-communist, Misesian economist who basically ran against the political ruling class, the the caste system in Argentina, and one going away, 12 percentage points over the socialist. Here's, just to give you a little sense of what we're talking about with him, here's some of comments from Milei from a few months ago in a sit-down he did with Bloomberg Television. Now, the voice you're going to hear is not his. It's a translator. But listen to his riff on essentially the political ruling class in Argentina. And remember, this is against the backdrop of triple-digit. You think inflation's bad here. Triple-digit, like 185%.
Right.
Inflation is what the Argentinians are facing.
And we're the ones who best represent the opposition to the establishment and the status quo. Because deep down, on the other side, there are socialists with bad manners or good manners. But there are all socialists who are impoverishing the country, and they're the same from 40 years ago. They've been leading Argentina for years, and it's getting poorer by the minute. In fact, in 2001, there were 2 and none left. They are the same from then, plus they've multiplied. So that's why we say that a different Argentina is impossible if things continue the same as always. And we're here to change that.
I love the idea that there are socialists of good manners and there are socialists of bad manners, but they're all socialists, and that's the problem. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. He was asked in that same interview about, per what you said, Amy, about it, the comparisons to Trump.
And his fans call him the crazy, they love him.
Why, or if it's true, I guess he was asked if he admires Trump.
It's been said that you admire Donald Trump. Is that true?
I respect and admire all those who have managed to stand up against international socialism.
Yeah, that's a yes.
Yeah.
Here's sort of the fundamentals, because there's some differences actually. I mean, he is basically, there's some gradations here, but he essentially comes from the Austrian School of Economics, von Mises, Hayek, Henry Hazlitt, Murray Rothbard, that school. So he's a free trader in a way that some on the populist right are not. So just listen to his articulation. By the way, again, he's an economist. He rose to some celebrity in Argentina because of television debates, because of this program that he ultimately got that gave him profile. So, again, some similarities here.
And he has a unique look. his unruly mop of hair.
Yeah, he looks like...
He calls himself the Lion.
He looks like Dudley Moore from Arthur. That's the
Bingo.
haircut he has.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's perfect, Dan.
So, yeah, another unique haircut a la the former president here. But he's also a serious economist. He's taught in Argentinian universities. He published academic papers. He wrote a book last year, The Path to Liberation, that really lays out some of the philosophical underpinnings of what he's proposing. And what he is proposing is radical capitalism in Argentina.
Our fundamental angles are free trade, peace, freedom, and aligning ourselves to the West, where our top references are the United States and Israel.
And what about China? It's one of the main trading partners.
It might be a business partner with the private sector. However, we do not make pacts with communists.
So what would you do? In other words, would you stop Argentina's relations with China?
I would not promote relations with communists, whether it's Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea, Nicaragua, or China.
In other words, for Venezuela, are you going to change the policy?
Obviously.
And what about Brazil? It's the country's most important trade partner. You've spoken harshly about Lula in the past. Can you have a closer relationship?
No.
What do you mean? You don't think so?
In fact, I believe that Mercosur must be eliminated because it is a defectuous customs union that harms good Argentines. In other words, it's basically a trade managed by states to favor a specific class of businessmen. So that doesn't promote trade. It destroys trade. That generates trade diversion. It isn't good. It generates income for friends of the power class. It's truly horrible.
But in the world, there are a lot of bilateral and commercial treaties. It's good for the private sector.
No, it's good for those who are associated with governments in managing that trade. It's not good for the people. What's good for the people is for trade to be free, and it's not. When the state gets involved, it does harm. In fact, Mercosur works that way in Argentina. It generates a trade diversion. If it generates trade diversion, it generates harm. And who gets the benefits? Politicians who steal and favored businessmen. Then the question is, why do you want there to be a favored businessman and thieves at the expense of good citizens?
Yeah, so basically, I'm not going to play the rent-seeking game with corporatists. And, I mean, the definitive, look, the private sector, essentially, if they want to do business wherever they want to do business, China, Venezuela, Nicaragua. But in terms of this administration, this government, the government I'll be the head of, we don't do deals with communists. There's a red line.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
He wants to eliminate the central bank. He wants to make the U.S. dollar the currency in Argentina. I mean, this is really interesting.
And also, too, real quick, I mean, he thinks sex education is a Marxist plot to destroy the family.
Pro-life.
Mm-hmm.
Although he has some libertarian leanings that some conservatives wouldn't share, like sort of being supportive, passive on the issue of legalization of prostitution, which functionally exists in Argentina. But this is going to be really interesting because I just wonder, as I did when it came across the wire that he won, and by the margin that he won, given what he said, and given how he talks about communists and the people, the rent-seeking political class in Argentina that's destroyed that country's economy. I mean, he uses profanity on television in Argentina. If you watch the interviews, he calls them parasites. I mean, there is no pulling punches here. And so you just wonder if this is perhaps Brexit 2.0. What Brexit in 2015 foreshadowed about 2016 in America. I just wonder if you'll see this revolt against the rent-seeking political class spread. I hope it does. More on from Milei on spending, deregulation, things that certainly have some pertinence to our politics.
Our program goal is 15 points. It is a state reform where the public spending is lowered, taxes are lowered, and progress is made in a set of reforms that deregulate the economy. We plan to cut public works, bring it to a private initiative system, the Chilean way. We plan to cut discretionary transfers to zero and to eliminate economic subsidies, thus recalibrating the economic financial equation of the contracts to minimize the impact on prices. That gives you 13 GDP points. But we also want to advance in the privatization of public companies, and that's 1 GDP point. And we want to advance in the elimination of privileged regimes, which is another GDP point. So basically, let's say that's where we plan to chainsaw public spending. And on the other hand, we're also thinking about modernizing the labor market with an unemployment insurance system. And once we are competitive at a fiscal and labor level, we can have a unilateral opening process.
Alex Hinsdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning, guys. It's striking to me when I watched his interview with Tucker Carlson that I finally realized that America, like Argentina, had to hit rock bottom with these policies. And President Biden always says, don't compare me to the almighty, but the alternative. I'm afraid that's why Biden's numbers are collapsing. People are comparing him to how it was 3 short years ago, and I think that happened in Argentina. People realize the same policies will get you the same results, and I see a real shifting in America as we just saw in Argentina.
Yeah, I mean, I
think so,
I hope
don't
you're
you,
right. I hope you're right. I mean, the other thing, too, it's just interesting to note about Milei is he was really buoyed by younger voters in Argentina that essentially were fed up with the men and women of always, just like so many here are fed up with the men and women of always. His slogan essentially was...
Make Argentina great again?
Well, no, but his slogan was out with all of them.
That's awesome. Like, just keep it simple. And it's a bumper sticker, too, and it's so effective. Out with all of them.
Throw the bums out, Argentinian style. Well, that's basically what happened.
I mean, they'd be heading towards what Venezuela is. And that's, people eating feral animals on the streets.
Well, you certainly, the collapse of your currency and 185% inflation is not a positive situation for the workaday family, is it? No, and that's who put Javier Milei in, and we're going to see. But this is going to be really interesting to watch.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, did Amy Jacobson, when she was doing live remotes pointing to snow, did she ever just make things up? Did she ever lie like a certain sideline reporter? Or was it always the highest of journalistic integrity when Amy Jacobson was on the beat? We'll get her reaction to, Miss Thompson at 5:38.
And later, Creepy Joe is back. But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
45 degrees, 5:32. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter, the wife of the nation's 39th president, has died at the age of 96. President Jimmy Carter biographer Jonathan Alter on the former First Lady.
Well, she was a tremendous combination of formidable public figure and enormously gracious person.
The Carter Center announcing she passed away Sunday afternoon at her home in Plains, Georgia. A Democrat U.S. Senator calling on more transparency, wanting more transparency regarding a Gaza hospital that Israel claims is being used as a base for Hamas terrorists. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut saying both Israel and the U.S. need to make more information available about the Al-Shifa hospital. Meantime, Israel's ambassador to the U.S. says his country's government is against a ceasefire, but willing to agree to a pause in fighting, but only for the release of hostages. Speaking on ABC's This Week, Michael Herzog.
It's not a ceasefire because we will continue to push against Hamas to dismantle their military infrastructure and their terror infrastructure. We're not going to stop that.
Herzog says a pause in the fighting would last for a few days to allow a significant number of hostages to be released. The I-10 freeway is now back open. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass posting yesterday that a welcome back message to residents will be posted this morning, and the freeway should be open. California Governor Gavin Newsom.
10,000 labor hours all told to get us to this point ahead of schedule, 8 days to get this thing open and operational. And that means, if you're doing the math, that this thing opens tonight. It will be fully operational tomorrow.
Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's northwest side last week will be laid to rest today. Services for 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place around noontime at the Navy Pier Grand Ballroom. 2 teens are dead after they were shot. Police saying a pair of 14-year-old boys were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley in the 800 block of East 89th Place. An investigation is underway after a 3-year-old accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old brother in Gary, Indiana. Police say the incident happened Friday night at a home in the 2100 block of Georgia Street.
No mother should ever have to go through that. I'm just stunned. I mean, I don't even have the words to put into conversation what you do in a situation like that.
The mother telling Gary police her older son found the gun in her purse when she left the bedroom. The NTSB believes a design flaw likely caused a CTA train crash that left dozens hurt last week on Chicago's north side.
See if this is simply going to...
Why is it different today? Over time, cars get heavier. There's more passengers. We'll have to look at some changes that have been made to the system. That's essentially an old design.
Jennifer Hamady with the NTSB. A passenger train was approaching the Howard station when it collided with a snow removal train. Hamady says a design problem within the system prevented the train from stopping sooner. The train was traveling nearly 27 miles an hour when it hit the snow equipment. That equipment was scheduled to be on the tracks for training and was stopped, waiting for a signal. Lions rallied from down 2 possessions late in the fourth quarter. Took down the Bears 31-26 at Ford Field. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees another side of the latest polls.
Voters in 5 battleground states favor Trump over Biden. Before I go any further, it's very clear. This here in the New York Times, this is a hit on Biden more than a benefit to Trump. I partially believe this poll, but this here is yet another example of the regime, the administrative state, trying to remove Joe Biden.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for Townhall.com. The reservoir of sympathy for Israel in the wake of the October 7th attack has turned out to be shockingly shallow. We are seeing gleeful bloodlust in the street of capital cities, among students at elite universities. Murderers celebrated instead of condemned. What has happened to our world? Israelis have no illusions about what is intended by the now commonplace chant, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." The message is simple in that phrase: erase the Jews. I'm hardly alone in believing it is a call for genocide, for another Holocaust. Do you wonder at how ferociously Israel defends itself? Consider how the United States and Britain responded when the Axis powers sought to destroy them in World War II. America and her allies' aim was the enemy's unconditional surrender, or its leader's death and the destruction of their war machine. Total war. And America succeeded, as will Israel, where never again still means never again.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
5:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft, University, Kennedy inbound right now, stop and go inbound between Foster and Montrose. Got heavy sledding already inbound on the Stevenson between Ashland and the Dan Ryan Express lanes. Slam solid inbound between Pershing and the Stevenson merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy and cooler today. Breezy for the afternoon. Rain and drizzle will start up then. High 48. Rain and 42 overnight. Currently 46. Next news coming up at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Sports and politics. Sports and politics.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
On this edition of Sports and Politics, it's the sports reporters that are in the crosshairs. You know what I think of the sports press corps. Not much. Just look at it in Chicagoland. And it's the argument I always made, which those goon squads at the Score confirmed a few months back, was that they're left-wing hacks who know very little about the outside world and are just desperate to be taken seriously, so they mimic and parrot whatever they hear and see from the political press corps wherever they are.
Right.
That's generally speaking how it is. But this is really not about that so much, except to the extent that Carissa Thompson, who is a host for Fox Sports and the NFL on Amazon Prime, to the extent that Carissa Thompson represents the Stephen Glass, Jason Blair style of journalism we get from the political press corps. Remember those two plagiarists? Jason Blair, New York Times, Stephen Glass, New Republic. Moody bet Stephen Glass, Shattered Glass. Good stuff. Just made up stories. And Carissa Thompson was on Barstool Sports, a podcast for that site, last week. And she said the following, which got her in a bit of hot water with her colleagues. You're not supposed to say these things out loud.
I haven't been fired for saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because, A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late, and I was like, I didn't want to screw up the report, so I was like, I'm just going to make this up. Because, first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to be better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball
Pressure
over.
the quarterback.
We need, yeah, exactly, and do a better job of getting off the field. Like, they're not going to correct me on that.
Right.
So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, Turnkey.pro text line. Should Carissa Thompson be immediately fired by Fox, immediately fired by Amazon, so as to protect the integrity of the sideline reporter?
Or, I mean, does anybody care? Because on-field interviews are worthless sometimes, right? Or do people lock into that? I mean,
Sometimes.
What do you mean? Well, sometimes they're interesting.
Lisa Salters. Just give you an example. I mean, I don't even know how much people pay attention to who these people are, but if you watch sports, it sort of, it just, sort of just seeps into your brain, even though you may not want it to. Lisa Salters responding. She is shocked, disappointed, disgusted. What we heard today, what you just heard, called all sideline reporters into question. My job is an honor, a privilege, and a craft at which I have worked so hard. Trust and credibility, they mean everything to a journalist. To violate either one in any way not only makes a mockery of the profession, but it's a disservice to players, coaches, and most importantly, the fans.
The fans.
Oh yes, always standing up for the fans. Lisa Salters.
People who pay your salary.
She's over at ESPN, and for those of you scoring at home. Yeah, I mean, it is tough. Look, you have to dodge being kissed by a drunk Joe Namath. So that can happen to a sideline reporter.
Justin, do you know who Joe Namath is now?
Joe Namath?
Joe Namath.
This Joe Namath you speak of? Tracy Wolfson, another one. She was on the sidelines this weekend. I can't remember if it was college or pros. They all blend together. But anyway, this is absolutely not okay, not the norm, and upsetting on so many levels. I take my job very seriously. I hold myself accountable for all I say. Every cliche I utter, I hold myself accountable. My parenthetical. I build trust with coaches and never make something up. I know my fellow reporters do the same.
I just can't believe. I mean, first of all, you shouldn't do that. I mean, obviously, you know what every coach is going to say by now. If you've been in the business, or if you've been just passing by, like casually watching sports, football games, whether they're the college or the professional level. But why did she admit it? That's the strange part to me, too.
I think she's trying to be interesting. I think she's trying to be one of the boys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, because then she, of course, with the firestorm that she got in response, she said, when I said I just made stuff up, I meant I didn't make stuff up. I meant 180 degrees the opposite of what I said. I never lied, she said. Never lied. I chose the wrong words in describing what I did. Yeah, I'm sorry. I chose the wrong words. I have nothing but respect for blah, 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 and so on and so forth. I chose the wrong words. I don't know. It didn't seem like you can walk back. I made stuff up to, I didn't mean to. When I said I made stuff up, I didn't mean to communicate that I made stuff up. I mean, there's not a lot of wiggle room there. you know?
I would never do it. I couldn't do it.
So when you never said you talked to Drew, you never said you talked to Drew Peterson if you didn't talk to him.
Wait, what?
Didn't you cover the Drew Peterson case?
Yeah.
Well, so you never said Drew, like, I was,
or an inside source told me when there's no inside source.
Yeah, like I'm guessing what Drew Peterson would say about what happened in court today.
No.
Did you know?
But I know reporters. When I did the morning shift at Channel 5 back in the 90s, I know reporters from another station. I'm not going to say her name or the station. I would listen to her reports and say, where did you get that? You just made that up. There's no one at the hospital right now to give you that information. And she just would walk away, put her nose up and sit in the car. I know she was lying, and the other reporters from 7 and 9 knew she was lying too.
I mean, is this
So
like this
frustrating.
This is like I mean, this isn't quite like Brian Williams, the sort of Commander McBragg. You know, I was at the scene, the floating, bloated bodies in Katrina after the Hurricane Katrina, when he wasn't present for the things he said he was present for. He couldn't have seen what he reported he saw. Brian Williams, the fabulous, the liar. And I mean,
But this is sports.
Well, I know this is so. I mean, the standard is like, is that a shoulder shrug comment? The standard is like, who cares? Because I mean,
they
Brian,
shouldn't be doing it. They should not be doing it.
Well,
this
of course.
is why people don't trust journalists.
Brian, but I'm trying to decide who I even like have more. That even matters to me more, like a Brian Williams case, or even a Jason Blair or Stephen Glass case, or like a Carissa Thompson, because it's like I don't mean Brian Williams on the NBC news desk. I mean, that's as much of a joke as a sideline reporter, isn't it?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I also think that you sort of mentioned it to prevent me from having to be the male chauvinist pig here about the importance of the sideline reporter. So also to outsource the intemperate comments about that, since you've opened the floodgates.
Yeah, I mean, they're just eye candy.
Well, this is okay. There you go. That's thank you.
I mean, how many male sports sideline reporters are there left? Any? Are there any at all?
Is John Dockery still on the sidelines at Notre Dame games? I haven't. No, I don't.
Michelle Tafoya was my favorite. Michelle Tafoya and Peggy Kaczynski, they know sports.
There have been
They're
some
my favorite. And I loved Jill Carlson too back in the day.
There've been some guys that have done like double duty. I mean, they'll be on the desk, but you also see them sometimes doing sideline reporting. Well, here's Bill Burr. I'm just going to outsource these.
I'd love to hear what he has to say.
So I don't have to. Yeah, I don't have to be the bad guy here. Bill Burr from back in the day on Conan O'Brien's show on the sideline reporter.
How do you feel about this?
I don't like how they interview the coaches too when they go to the in halftime.
Yeah.
As they're running off. Like, I think they should just be able to stay focused on the game. They shouldn't have to talk to somebody in like a ski parker. They're like, yeah, you're down by 14. What are your thoughts? It's like, what do you think my thoughts are? It sucks. I'm worried about my job. I'll probably have to sell my house. My wife's gonna leave me. I need to score more points in the other half. Who are you? Why am I talking to you? You're not even in football.
Yeah.
Did you even play to the high school level?
No, probably not.
You took journalism.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
What about...
Yeah, it's a bunch of nerds interrupting people who know what they're doing. Get out of here.
Right. And like the Carissa Thompson won't get fired, but Sage Steele gets pushed out of ESPN because she won't comply with the vax mandate. In other such cases, for political reasons, you see some of these, even the eye candy types that get treated badly. I mean, we saw that during COVID. But then somebody admits to, breaching her ethical responsibilities as a reporter in any arena, and it's good. She does the apology, and I'm sure she'll be back on the,
Amazon covering the Thursday night games. Joe in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, she won't get fired because she checks off a box. And Amy definitely has lied when she was covering those snow reports, because how did she know how many inches we were going to get and when it was going to fall?
Because I talked to Brant Miller.
True. Thanks for the call. Yeah, well, you and Brant Miller were conspiring to defraud Chicago NBC viewers.
No.
Come on, tell us some more fun stories from the front, like to name names.
I can't name this person, but it was so fraudulent and so irresponsible, and it made us all look like we weren't doing our jobs, because the person on the assignment desk would watch other stations, be like, well, they're reporting this. Why aren't you reporting that? And I said, because I can't confirm that, and I think she's making it up.
Well, what's the specific incident?
It was outside, I think it was outside Loyola Hospital, some hospital, and there was some high-profile patient, and she said she got information from the nursing staff. Well, they're not talking to her. They'd get fired if they talked to her, and it wasn't, who was by this person's side, and she didn't know that. And she made it up, and we confronted her on it, and she just walked back in her truck and shut the door and waited for her next hit to say the same BS, if you know what I mean. But for snow stories, sometimes when they send you out and there was no snow damage, or not damage, I mean storm damage.
You'd have to create the damage.
Well, no, I would find a tiny little branch and of the branch and just say things like, well, this is, when it comes to snowstorms, this one is a real sleeper. Not a lot going on. This is what we expected, and it didn't happen. I don't see anybody doing that anymore.
So you didn't do like what we've seen some of these journalists do, where they pretend to be in the middle of the war zone and they're like in a park nowhere near the war zone, but they're all duded up in the war zone.
They're waiters.
I'm risking my lives. Yeah, my life.
They're waiters.
Yes.
They're in floodwater, and then people, and they're in a canoe in an alleged, flooded street, and people are walking behind them in their gym shoes.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
No, I don't do that. Could not.
You never to try to amp up the snowpocalypse coverage, like had the camera guys put together a snowbank where you could be like up to your neck.
Yeah.
Even though there was like just a dusting going on, you never did anything like that. No staging.
I've seen people do that. Yes.
Huh.
I don't like it, and I don't like what this Thompson lady did either, because do you think they're really going to have her on Thursday Night Football? Well, this Thursday's Thanksgiving. It's different, but you don't think she's going to get fired or suspended?
I doubt she. I don't know. I doubt she gets fired. I mean, there'll probably be some sort of within the bubble pressure.
Yeah.
From other reporters that are all morally indignant, like you're hearing, like you saw on Twitter, and some of the response that prompted her apology and clarification, which is a complete about face. It's not a clarification. But I don't think so. I think you get fired in that industry, like most industries, if you cross the line politically, but not ethically. So that's sort of my handle. That's what we've seen. If you cross the line politically, if you stray from established leftist orthodoxy within these corporate settings, because that's what all this sports media is, then you can get. I mean, even when you're a good reporter like Rachel Nichols.
Oh yeah, she's good too.
Yeah, but ethical lapses in judgment, not so much, unless you're a dude and it's sexual harassment related.
Is this true? We got a text message. Dan and Amy, Rush Limbaugh got fired from doing NFL games. He knew more about football than most of the sideline reporters.
Well, yeah, but they're not in the booth, and right. Nor should they be. I mean, could you imagine? Well, he got. Yeah, well, yeah, you remember but that was a big controversy. Monday Night Football. He's in the booth, and
that's right.
And then he had there was like they ginned up, like he said something that was racist about black quarterbacks. Was it Randall Cunningham? Or Warren Moon? I can't remember which black quarterback, but he said something that was perceived as being intemperate and about black quarterbacks, and that was, that just gave, the leftist media the in they needed to put the pressure on the corporate entities to sideline Rush, and I don't mean as a reporter.
Text message, Dan and Amy. Fire? Have you seen her legs?
Enough said. Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Good morning. Happy Monday, and thank you for taking my call. I mean, it was Donovan McNabb was the quarterback.
Oh, McNabb. That's what it's, McNabb. Yeah. I knew it was an Eagle. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, having to consistently exalt who turned out to be a mediocre quarterback to make a political point. That's what did him in.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into a ranking of the. I mean, McNabb was better than a mediocre quarterback. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, thank you.
Plus, he's Chicago, so we give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt.
The people that should be fired are the fans. I mean, right now, everybody should say, "I'm done watching football," or write to the people and say, "If this is the ethical standards of the people calling the games, I'm no longer going to watch." But you know what? Hey, we're $30 trillion in debt. Oh, that's no big deal. But oh my God, the Broncos are 5-5, and that's the problem.
Well, yeah, of course we don't. We're not a serious country, at least not right now. We just want our bread and circuses. At least half the country does. Maybe that's changing. It doesn't need to be everybody. You're always going to have a significant percentage of the population that is strictly interested in being satiated by, external forces. They're not really doing anything. They just passively want to consume. But yeah, I mean, we're totally beset by the bread and circuses of the day right now. It's just, it's what we say about Chicago and about Illinois. It's just not bad enough yet. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
It's hard to believe, but 2024 will be here soon. Before you get caught up in all the busy holiday season shopping and whatnot, ask yourself, what are you doing now to put your retirement in a better position for the future? Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group. Tom has prepared a 2023 year-end planning report. This report will show you ways to reduce your tax burden on your retirement savings, income strategies that don't depend on a volatile market, and ideas on how to protect and pass down assets to your loved ones. Tom has been helping build financial plans for retirements for over 2 decades, and he's sharing his knowledge and experience in this report. Call Tom today at 630-934-1855 and ask for the 2023 year-end planning report. That's 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour right here on AM 560 The Answer, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
This is Chicago's election station, AM 560 The Answer, WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Another hospital in Gaza caught in the crossfire. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. Israeli troops battling Hamas near Indonesia hospital, where Palestinian officials say 12 people were killed in bombings. As Israel keeps looking for evidence, Hamas operated a command center under the Al-Shifa hospital, citing new video showing hostages being taken there after the October 7th terror attack. Hamas says it shows they were giving them medical care.
The Israeli military, along with Shin Bet security agencies, released new video of the tunnel system they say is beneath the medical medical facility. The initial tunnel shaft found underneath the hospital is 30 feet deep with a staircase. It connects to a 15-foot tunnel that turns into a 160-foot tunnel, ending with a blast door.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in southern Israel. Iran-backed Houthi rebels from Yemen have seized a Japanese cargo ship with links to Israel, taking 25 crew members hostage. The Trump 2020 federal election interference case goes to an appeals court this morning as special counsel Jack Smith tries to get a gag order the former president calls unconstitutional reinstated. It bars him from making statements about lawyers and potential witnesses. Now, the frontrunner in the Republican 2024 race went to Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott endorsed the former president.
We had the most secure border in our history. Now we have the most unsecure border in the history, I believe, really, of the world.
A new NBC News poll gives the former president a slight lead over President Biden. He'll celebrate his 81st birthday at the White House, and the president put out a statement calling the Carters an incredible family, paying tribute to former First Lady Rosalind Carter, who died in hospice care at home in Georgia. Fox's Steve Harrigan's in Atlanta.
She was not a conventional First Lady. She had an office in the East Wing of full-time staff. She sat in on cabinet meetings, advised her husband, and was known as a tough campaigner, both in his first race for governor and for 2 presidential races as well. She fought for the weakest, for the mentally ill.
Rosalind Carter was 96. America's listening to Fox News.
45 degrees. Skies are cloudy this morning at 6:02 on AM 560 The Answer. And good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's north side last week will be laid to rest today. Services for 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place at noon at Navy Piers Ballroom. Price died after he fell through a light shaft while battling a blaze that broke out at a tavern in Lincoln Park on Monday. 2 teens in Chicago are dead after they were shot. Police say a pair of 14-year-old boys were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley near the 800 block of East 89th Place. No arrests have been made. As an investigation is underway after a 3-year-old accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old brother in Gary, Indiana. Police say the incident happened Friday night at a home in the 2100 block of Georgia Street. Chrissy Mosley is a neighbor to the family.
No mother should ever have to go through that. I'm just stunned. I mean, I don't even have the words to put into conversation what you do in a situation like that.
The mother telling Gary police her older son found the gun in her purse when she left the bedroom.
To see if this is simply going to be ruled an accident by the Lake County prosecutor, or they're going to seek some type of law enforcement action, criminal action. Commander Sam Roberts says so far no charges have been filed. The NTSB believes it was a design flaw that likely caused a CTA train crash that left dozens hurt last week on Chicago's north side.
Why is it different today? Over time, cars get heavier. There are more passengers. We'll have to look at some changes that have been made to the system. That's essentially an old design.
Jennifer Hamadeh is with the NTSB. The passenger train was approaching the Howard station Thursday when it collided with a snow removal train. Hamadeh says the train was traveling about 27 miles an hour when it struck the snow equipment that was scheduled to be on the tracks for training and was stopped, waiting for a signal. Lions rally from 2 possessions down late in the fourth quarter to take down the Bears, 31-26 at Ford Field. Justin Fields, 169 yards and a TD through the air. He also carried the ball 18 times for 104 yards on the ground.
I think we did a good job playing complementary football. I think the defense did a good job in the first half with the takeaways. And I think the offense did a good job of, pushing the ball downfield, controlling the ball.
Chicago fell to 3-8. They visit the Vikings next. Bulls overcome a 21-point deficit with a weekend win over Miami, 102-97. The news, a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Call to schedule your appointment today, 630-279-8500, or visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum puts it plainly.
People are making this idea up that innocent people dying in Gaza should be somehow a deterrent for Israel to take out Hamas. It is not, and it should not be. Israel has to take out Hamas. Enough is enough.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here, and if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then this message is for you.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food prices.
Here's how you and your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio.
Just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Everybody needs an edge. The other guy is working on his edge right now, whether you have one or not. Testosterone levels are at an all-time low historically, and individual T levels in men decline 1% every year with age. There's a new champion of natural testosterone boosters, and it's called CHOQ. CHOQ. 100% natural herbal extracts with game-changing effects on your energy, mood, and focus. CHOQ Daily's main ingredient has been clinically studied to boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity with higher T and a massive boost of energy by taking CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack every day. Take the 90-day CHOQ Challenge and reap the benefits of the reigning champion of natural men's health with CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack. For a very limited time only, CHOQ, CHOQ, is giving our listeners a 30% discount with promo code USA. That's CHOQ.com, code USA, for 30% off while supplies last.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Ruthie. I love helping people. There's so many people that are down. Sometimes all it takes is a piece of pie to make the sunshine come in their life again. And with the help of Balance of Nature, it's making it more fun and giving me more energy. And I would really like to thank Balance of Nature. These are mine for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.609. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's right now settling in at 17, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at 32, O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. On the Ike, inbound accident right shoulder between Manheim and First Avenue. Stevenson stop and slow inbound between Central and Kedzie. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Lots of clouds and breezy this afternoon. Rain and drizzle for the late day, high 48. Rain tonight, low 42. Clouds, a bit of rain early afternoon tomorrow, the high 45. And then partly sunny on Wednesday, the high 46. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
45 at O'Hare, 46 Midway, 45 Lakefront. Next news, 6:30. Breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we talked on Friday about Governor Jelly Belly's plan for aiding Chicago in providing for migrants. He's throwing $160 million on the pile. It's actually more than that. We're starting to get into pretty big numbers, actually. I'll detail those in a second. But that preceded BLM Brandon's updated plan for migrants that was rolled out on Friday, which sounded very much like his previous plan for migrants that had previously been rolled out. But it is also worth noting, as Cass and I talked about on Friday, that they're not doing this jointly. I'm talking about the mayor and the governor. They're doing this one after the other. There's a little bit of a competition here, and I think part of the competition is to ensure that from BLM Brandon's perspective, to ensure that both wear the jacket. From Jelly Belly's perspective, to ensure that only BLM Brandon wears the jacket for what's happening in the city.
Because I remember on Thursday, I said, they're going to have a joint press conference to discuss. It wasn't. They both had separate ones, which I thought they were discussing the same topic, which was strange.
Well, it's not strange. I think what I just
Right.
described explains what's happening here. The relationship it was started off chilly, and it's getting chillier. So is the weather. So the big news on Friday, and I know news in quotations because it said that in advance of this rollout. It's generous to call it a rollout. 60 days and you got to walk. 60 days and migrants have to leave the migrant shelters. And then they have to go to an intake center to reapply for access to the shelters. Okay, so that means like all 12 to 15,000 would be out by early April. And so then they all go back to the intake center, and then they all come back to the. I mean, is this just sort of a dance of the lemons, so to speak here? There's sort of a 3-card Monte game. Where are the migrants over here, or are they over here? Are they under this tent, or are they at the intake center?
Where's this intake center going to be? That's the thing too. And I mean, they broke ground over the weekend at 115th and Halsted, and then when reporters showed up, Dan, for the chain link fence, they put a black tarp on the chain link fence so that they couldn't see the work that they were doing.
Well, so unless they, and maybe this is the hope, is that okay? You get 60 days, and it's all about 60 days for work permits and to be self-sustaining, so that we can accommodate those that are being dropped off here.
And then
or
also,
the next group. Well, okay.
Yeah, I'll let you finish.
So is it really that, or is it 60 days knowing that you're going to have to endure some pretty cold temperatures and hope that, which, by the way, used to be something that Republicans would get excoriated over, you're hoping that people self-deport. Is that what's really going on here?
That is exactly what I thought when I saw the details for both. And I thought, they're basically telling them without telling them, don't bother to come here because we don't have your back. Craig Wall from Channel 7, at the end of his report, he said this, and I went, when your time in the shelter runs out, there will not be any help to rent a place to stay.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't think
that doesn't sound so welcoming, does it, Dan?
Yeah, but I think they're trying to slow the pace, but I don't think they're trying to stop it. I mean, they're probably trying to send a signal, don't come here, don't come around here, Tom Petty. But I think that's temporary. Okay. That would be my guess. And it'll be a lot easier to accommodate once the weather breaks in the spring. I don't think they want to stop this. I think they want to slow it. because they need to slow the burn rate because they're spending a lot more than they're suggesting they're spending. And they don't want to be in the position that New York is in right now, where, as we talked about on Friday again, where Eric Adams is cutting funding from police and K through 12 education in order to accommodate the $1.5 billion they've already spent on migrants and the $12 billion that he expects to spend over the next couple of years at this pace. So I think what they're saying is we need to reduce the rate of burn here so that we can continue to bring people in and resettle them, in the words of Carlos Ramirez Rosa. This is a resettlement program. That's how Carlos Ramirez Rosa described it. And Ramirez Rosa is a lot closer to BLM Brandon than anybody else who's using the weasel words that Pritzker used about temporary this and so on and so forth. Pritzker doesn't use the R word, but all the Marxists around BLM Brandon do, and that's instructive. So I don't think the city wants to end it. I think they want to slow it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. And to replacement program, is that because they want to grow the Democratic Party?
Well, you have, I mean, look at what other individuals are doing here. So Tony Preckwinkle and the Cook County Board just passed a $100 million emergency fund for, disasters that could occur in 2024. That's their cover story. But if you look below the fold, of the $100 million, $70 million would be allocated for new arrival healthcare costs, $20 million would be allocated for municipal or local government costs related to migrants, and then $10 million would be allocated for other disasters that may happen. So they're calling it some sort of contingency fund, but they've allocated 90% of it to migrants. So there's $100 million there. There's $160 from Jelly Belly. There's $150 from BLM Brandon, in addition to what's already been spent, which, according to some estimates, is already $500 million. And by the way, Jeannie Ives at her Breakthrough Ideas newsletter had this little nugget from State Representative Brad Holbrook, who's part of the Freedom Caucus. He's a downstater. The $160 million, Holbrook requests a report on total state spending projected and committed on migrants since August of 2022. That number for all state agencies, August 22 to present, and what's been disclosed as projected, as set aside monies to cover $708 million. In the last 14, 15 months. So, this is going way above the numbers that they're reporting. Of course, in the city level, this is against a city budget that's $500 million short, and that's probably a rosy estimate. 40% of that relates to migrant costs. They're slow walking the numbers. They're slow walking what they've already spent in terms of disclosing. They're underestimating what they're projecting to spend because they're hoping to slow this down but not stop it. So they're just trying to manage this thing because it's coming at them too fast and it's with too much money required. But again, don't think that there's been any change of attitude on the larger topic of sanctuary city, sanctuary state, bringing in and resettling, because I don't think there has. That's my intuition. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Bill, Cape Coral, Florida.
Yeah, this 60 days and out is nothing more than a patronage job position for all his cronies. They'll be the assistant to the director of the directors, shuffling papers, all making enough six figures. It's going to be nothing but friends and family members getting big-time jobs for just shuffling around papers. And on another note, check the overtime slips on those officers that protect him, the 35 or whatever the heck he's got. Look at their overtime slips.
35.
Tell me they ain't
125. Yeah, thanks for the call, Bill. There's some, this stuff sort of bleeding out. $56 million has been spent on Favorite Healthcare Staffing, which is a Kansas-based company that's been tasked with taking care of migrants, non-citizens.
Didn't they help out during COVID-19 too?
They may have.
Yeah.
Some of these, and you can see why they're back. Some of the employees were being paid $195 an hour.
I know. Channel 5 did a great expose on who's getting what kind of cash. Security guards are making up 6 figures in 2 months. If you're a manager on one of those sites, because you're overtime, they're racking in the overtime, 80 hours a week. They're claiming that they're working. They're making $37,000 a month. Well, it's really fascinating. I tweeted it out because it's highway robbery.
BLM Brandon said
we're in the wrong business.
He's in communication with his Illinois congressional congregation.
Yeah,
that's an august body.
Uh-huh.
I went to D.C. a couple weeks ago, and I said a minimum of $5 billion for the country. That's what I said. So he's already put his marker down with the big guy, Mr. 10%. He wants $5 billion for the country, and obviously a healthy slice for Chicago. But again, just based on what New York is projecting to spend over the next couple of fiscal years and what they're doing right now, which are headline-grabbing cuts, because anything with the crime that has beset New York and its subway system in particular, but not limited to that, and you're talking about cutting funding for NYPD, that's going to get headlines. So Eric Adams is really biting a bullet. I can't imagine he wants to. Very interesting. Kurt in Lamont.
Yeah, hi, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking the call. I don't know whether you've discussed this previously, but there was an article in the Daily Mail online within the last couple of weeks, basically projecting that the cost of this uncontrolled migration was going to be for over $450 billion a year to the U.S., so nearly $500 billion a year to the U.S. And it really doesn't matter what your perspective is, whether you agree with migration or not. It's just not sustainable. And so in the examples you just cited, you have a lot of people seemingly feeding at the trough already.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Kurt. No, it's an industry. It's a rent-seeking opportunity. And I mean, well, think about that. You know, how the costs can increase exponentially. I mean, we're talking about 2 million gotaways during this presidency. New York is laboring under the weight of 100,000.
They have 132,000.
132,000.
I mean,
Chicago is laboring up under the weight, throwing up its hands, spending almost $1 billion on 25,000.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
So just on what we know in terms of gotaways, 2 million.
Oof.
Yeah, but it adds up. One of those things. Neil in LaGrange.
Hey, good morning. 2 things. First thing about said your screener was, I read that the mayor added 20 officers to his detail over Lightfoot, so I thought the number came to 135.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what John Garrido told us, former retired Chicago police lieutenant.
Yeah, that's it. And that's right. It was on your program over the weekend, I think. And then secondly, I read that New York lost 11 more billionaires. I think last year I read in one of the business magazines. And, Adams is begging the rich. It's, all hands on deck. I think I read this morning somewhere. So,
that's not going to stop. Yeah.
No, it's not. Nope.
Thanks for the call, Neil.
Yeah, I'm just reading into this NBC report. Staffers, the lowest paid staffer is making $50 an hour. Some are making $156 an hour, and that's before overtime.
And I mean, look,
we are in the wrong business.
I'm not trying to take money out of anybody's pocket, but I mean, let's say that's market rate for the services they provide, just for the sake of argument. Okay, fine. So how long can we pay those rates to serve how many people? That's a question they don't want to answer, as I'm saying. Frank, Board of Trade.
Yeah, my grandmother came here in 1905. I don't remember a social safety network that was created along these lines. Then to the issue of these migrants, are they so decompensated that they're not going to be able to support themselves?
Well, yeah. I mean, thanks for the call.
Why do you have
the whole idea? First of all, the process of getting one of these work permits that the big guy made available. I mean, the bureaucracy of that alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? You're gonna start working 30 days, 45 days from now, and all of a sudden you're gonna have enough cash in your pocket to pay first and last month's rent for a place in Chicago. I mean, come on.
And then get it furnished, and then buy groceries and clothes. I mean, it's just not feasible. And I don't understand.
This is fantasy land stuff.
I'm looking at these staffing numbers and these exorbitant salaries. Why can't they? They don't have jobs right now. Why can't they clean up after themselves? Why do they need staffing to take care of their linens and everything at these shelters? It's mind-boggling to me. Oh my God. And
yeah,
please
I mean,
pick up
right.
your garbage, please.
Give them rolls of quarters for the local laundromat.
Well,
I mean,
they're sitting around. I mean, I live right by one, and I drive by my police station every day. I see them like they're just sitting there outside.
Are you sure those aren't city workers? You're confusing them.
Hey,
Jeff in West Chicago.
Hey, yeah, I think they're talking about just 60 days to slow the spread.
It's just 60 days.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. Just 60 days to slow the spread.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We can all do that.
Mm-hmm.
Cardi B has weighed in.
Oh, no.
This is not going to be enjoyable to listen to, but these are the kind of things we must do to try to get to white suburban teenagers and their moms. We have to enlist Cardi B.
Okay, I'm
now that
open-minded.
she's no longer focused on drugging and robbing Johns. Well,
I know.
Am I wrong?
No, I was just thinking too soon.
Yeah, no, it's not too soon. It really isn't too soon. This is Cardi B's comment on the news that's getting around about the New York City budget cuts and Biden, who she endorsed, but she says she won't again. Again, this is a warning for those who are not comfortable risking a few IQ points.
In New York, there is a $120 million budget cut. There's a $120 million budget cut in New York that is going to affect schools, public libraries, and the police department. Y'all know I don't give a fuck about the cops, but like it is what it is. There's going to be an $120 million budget cut with schools, with libraries, and the cops, and the police department. And a $5 million budget cut in sanitation. Of a budget cut in sanitation. Bitch, we're going to be drowning with rats. We're going to be drowning in f***ing rats. So we are going to be having a budget cut on these. Mind you, and this is why I said, this is why I'm telling y'all, I'm not this year. Don't f***ing ask me. I don't give a f*** the resume that they send. I don't give a f***. I'm not endorsing no f***ing presidents no more. Because how is there a $100 million budget cut in New York City for fucking schools, library, police safety, and sanitation? Yeah, Joe Biden's talking about, like, yeah, we could fund two wars. Motherfuckers talking about we don't got it, but we got it. Like, we're the greatest nation. No, the f*** we're not. We're going through some shit right now. Like, say it. We're really going through, we really are f***ed right now.
Wow, maybe she should have stayed in English class.
It's so straightforward. Even
is.
Cardi B sort of gets it. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're trading or thinking about trading in the stock market, listen up. Last year, a staggering number of Americans were forced to take out withdrawals from their savings. Worse than the dot-com bubble, housing meltdown, or pandemic crash. Those could all feel like a blip compared to what some Wall Street analysts expect may be coming as soon as December. Some are calling it the market tsunami, and it could wipe out billions of dollars in the markets. Vantage Point's AI analyzes billions of data points in seconds, so you get highly accurate predicted market conditions in advance. Text the word money to 813-813 now to learn more in a free online class. Text MONEY to 813-813. Text the word money to 813-813. Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance. By texting, you agree to the terms available at VantagePointSoftware.com and consent to receive calls and texts using automated technology about offers or info by or on behalf of VantagePoint. Your consent is not a condition to purchase and can be revoked at any time. Message and data rates may apply. Text the word money to 813-813.
During the season of Thanksgiving and family, we turn our attention to the needs of the poor in a season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food prices, devastating families throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. Your loving gift provides life-saving food for children and answers to a mother's prayer. With your help, Ministry Partners 1160 Hope for Your Life and Food for the Poor will bring life-saving food to these children. Your gift today delivers hope to a family in the new year, replacing despair with hope and hunger with food. Your gift of food causes a celebration of God this holiday season in the hearts of many. We invite you to join us with a gift of $80, providing 2 children life-saving food for the next year, only $7 per month. Take a moment to look back how God has blessed you and your family this year, and we invite you to share those blessings with a family in need. Give right now by clicking the Give Life banner at 1160hope.com or call toll-free 855-901-4673. That's 855-901-HOPE with your best gift.
Dan Proft here. When it comes to health, there are numbers every man needs to know, including our testosterone number. I recommend going to Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know your results in about 25 minutes. Low testosterone levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, can cause lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, former Virginia Attorney General and now head of the National Voter Transparency Project, in addition to being involved with the Super PAC supporting Ron DeSantis, Ken Cuccinelli joins us to talk about legislation, bipartisan in nature, to standardize the mail-in ballot envelopes in advance of next November. That's 6:36.
And later, Marjorie Taylor Greene joins us. But now let's head into the news. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan at 6:32. It's 45 degrees. The skies are cloudy. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter, the wife of the nation's 39th president, has died.
President Biden spoke about the former First Lady while making a stop in Norfolk, Virginia Sunday, saying the Carters were an incredible family. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden remembered Carter's unwavering commitment to mental health care and the crucial role of caregivers in American life. Former First Lady Melania Trump, in a post on X, formerly Twitter, wrote, "We will always remember her servant's heart and devotion to her husband, family, and country. May she rest in peace." Rosalind Carter, who in recent days had entered hospice care at home in Plains, Georgia, died at the age of 96 Sunday with her family by her side. Former President Jimmy Carter has called his wife an extension of myself. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
At least 12 Palestinians are dead after Israeli tanks reportedly surrounded a hospital in Gaza and fired into it earlier today. Israel hasn't commented on the situation at the Indonesian hospital, where hundreds of people are said to be sheltering.
We will keep up the pressure because we know that the more pressure we apply on Hamas, the more likely it is that those hostages will be released. And we want nothing more than the freedom of those hostages, than for those hostages to be reunited with their families in Israel.
Israeli government spokesman Avi Hyman discussing the importance of bringing the hostages home. Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's north side last week will be laid to rest today. A service for 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place at noon in Navy Pier's Grand Ballroom. The 39-year-old fell through a light shaft while battling a fire that broke out at a tavern in Lincoln Park on Monday. 2 teens in Chicago are dead. They were shot. The pair of 14-year-old boys were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley near the 800 block of East 89th. An investigation is underway after a 3-year-old accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old brother in Gary, Indiana. Mother told Gary police her older son found the gun in her purse when she left the bedroom.
To see if this is simply going to be ruled an accident by the Lake County prosecutor or they're going to seek some type of law enforcement action, criminal action.
Commander Sam Roberts with Gary Police. The NTSB believes a design flaw likely caused a CTA train crash that left dozens hurt last week on Chicago's north side. Jennifer Hamady with the NTSB says the passenger train was approaching Howard Station when it collided with a snow removal train. Hamady believes experts who are saying it's a design problem within the CTA system that prevented the train from stopping sooner, but maintains overall the CTA is safe.
You are much safer taking the train. I would take the train tonight, tomorrow. I have no safety concerns about taking the train.
In other news, we're following a Joliet nursing home resident is accused of beating a fellow resident to death. It happened Friday night at the Salem Nursing and Rehab Center. Police say William Pascal attacked the victim in a laundry room. A beloved Chicago seafood restaurant is back open, being closed for failing health inspections. Calumet Fisheries reopened on Saturday. Chicago sports. Lions rally from 2 possessions down in the fourth quarter to take down the Bears in Detroit, 31-26. The news, a service of Boost Infinite. And we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka gives a history lesson.
The Arabs were offered a solution in 1947, a 2-state solution. They rejected it. Israel re-established their nation, and they were instantly attacked by the Arab nations of the region. And in fact, they pulled out of Gaza until Hamas took over.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you noticed cracked or sinking concrete around your home, driveways, sidewalks, garage floors, or patios? In addition to looking bad, cracked or sinking concrete causes an uneven surface that poses a safety hazard. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Would you like to fix the problem without replacing the concrete? We have the solution for you. Permaseal polylevel foam can be injected beneath concrete surfaces, leveling and preventing future settlement. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL for a free evaluation. The polylevel process is done with minimal disruption, quickly and at a fraction of the cost of concrete replacement. And unlike traditional mud jacking methods, polylevel foam is lightweight, so it doesn't add additional weight to the area. Polylevel is the most durable and cosmetically appealing solution to your cracked or sinking concrete. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-SEAL or visit permaseal.net.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local, family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's at 22. Lake Cook Road to the junction. A solid 45 inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the Kennedy, delays on the inbound Ike between Manheim and Harlem. 41 minutes into the old post office. 40 minutes on the inbound Stevenson into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go on the Dan Ryan. In the Express, inbound between 43rd and the Stevenson. Stop and go on the Tri-State. 294 northbound jams right at the Reagan Toll Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy and cooler today, breezy by the afternoon, and we'll see rain and drizzle throughout the morning into the afternoon. Periods of rain tonight, low 42. Cloudy with good chance of rain in the middle of the day, high 45 tomorrow. Currently 45 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Certified financial planner Tim Stearns holds a weekly discussion of the financial challenges to secure retirement. Listen Saturday at noon for Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the DeSantis campaign, writ large, just use that as a handle for unaffiliated or independent super PACs, and the campaign itself, just, the campaign messaging. Ron DeSantis supporters, regardless of from where the correspondence or communication is coming. So the DeSantis campaign going after Nikki Haley, and DeSantis himself on the Sunday show is going after both Haley and Donald Trump. Interesting. The Haley compilation, sort of your classic, who is the real Nikki Haley, what's the real deal about my opponent, and sort of a kitchen sink of your opponent's perhaps less popular statements with respect to the electorate in question. Here's a compilation of said for Nikki Haley.
I often say that the reason I got into politics was because of Hillary Clinton.
I went with my friend Eleanor Kitzman to a Furman leadership program where Hillary Clinton was speaking. And I walked out of there and I said, I'm running for office.
For too long, Republican and Democrat presidents dealt with immigration based on a quota. We'll take X number this year, we'll take X number next year, the debate is on the number. It's the wrong way to look at it. We need to go to our industries and say, what do you need that you don't have?
We need as many immigrants as we can.
Start to listen to your businesses and do what they need.
Years earlier, as South Carolina governor, Haley celebrated a deal that brought a business with ties to the Communist Chinese Party to her home state.
We want to thank Chairman Zong and everyone at the Jushi Group for allowing South Carolina to be the first location of your first U.S. manufacturing hub. We value partnership more than anything else, and we look forward to partnering with all of you.
In 2015, Haley ranked #1 among Republican governors in Chinese investment. Haley's administration oversaw $1.43 billion in Chinese investment in South Carolina.
When I was governor, they wanted to bring in a bathroom bill, a transgender bathroom bill, and I strong-armed and said, we are not going to have that in South Carolina.
What care should be on the table when a 12-year-old child in this country, assigned female at birth, says, actually, I feel more comfortable living as a boy? What should the law allow the response to be?
Well, I think the law should stay out of it.
Nikki Haley think we should be bringing in more refugees.
And America's always been sympathetic to the fact that you can separate civilians from terrorists. And that's what we have to do. I do not think we need to pull money from the UN. We don't believe in slash and burn. When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts.
A huge issue that I'll deal with as soon as I get there is social media.
Every person on social media should be verified by their name.
We need to know exactly who they are, and they need to show their own name. They need to verify every single person, and I want it by name.
Let's increase the gas tax by 10 cents over the next 3 years.
No one jumped in more forcefully or seemed angrier at America than former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Quote, "Tonight I turned on the news and I am heartbroken," Haley wrote. "It's important to understand that the death of George Floyd was personal and painful for many. In order to heal, it needs to be personal and painful for everyone." But wait a second, you may be wondering, how am I, quote, personally responsible for the behavior of a Minneapolis police officer?
Different people will react more strongly to some of those statements than others, of course. But it was that last one, the statement she made about the George Floyd case that you heard Tucker commenting on, that Ron DeSantis was asked about when he joined Jake Tapper over the weekend.
It's like watching the video is painful for Americans to see. And do you not think that empathy is an important quality for a U.S. president?
Of course it is. Nobody's saying that. But to say that the actions of one police officer means that Americans in Iowa or Texas or Florida, that it should be painful for them when they had nothing to do with it, that does not make any sense. And so that individual was arrested. He went through a criminal process, but that is not emblematic of police officers in general, much less the American public in general. And I would note, that was said at the time when we started to see the unrest in this country. And you had massive riots that have destroyed cities like Minneapolis. It's going to take decades for Minneapolis to be able to recover. So the response to that was totally out of bounds.
For more on this and a couple of other matters about election transparency, please be joined again by Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, former AG of VA, and again, also affiliated with the Never Back Down Super PAC that supports DeSantis. Ken, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, always good to be with you guys.
So, have you no empathy, sir? Jake Tapper wants to know. I bet that is going to be something that the other candidates, like a Chris Christie, will seize on a debate stage to suggest that Nikki Haley was right and that was a moment where she was trying to be a uniter.
I'm not sure that you're going to see Chris Christie leading the way and trying to be the most empathetic, but that would be interesting. But if the other candidates, as they have in the past, like Nikki Haley, want to attack Ron DeSantis because he believes in the police and is not supportive of what I'll call the movement that exploded out of the George Floyd killing, which you all saw in spades in Chicago. I mean, you had the Columbus statue, you had the cops who were clearly jumped. Mm-hmm. That was a premeditated ambush by a mob, and your then police chief gave one of the best press conferences laying it out with drone footage and everything, showing these so-called peaceful protesters, as the lamestream media wanted to call them, had bags of weapons, rocks, cans. They showed them all changing into their black amorphous clothing so they couldn't be identified. So you had it right there in Chicago, and Ron DeSantis is absolutely right to absolutely knock Jake Tapper out of the park on that one, and Nikki Haley along the way. But her response, Nikki's response on the George Floyd comment, was typical Nikki Haley. I mean, she's just a classic Republican surrender politician. We've seen this for our whole lives. Their instincts are Chamber of Commerce and surrender to the New York Times. And we don't need that. She's trying to paint herself as tough at the moment. She's got a 20-year track record that says otherwise.
Well, you're not supposed to be in this position, though. DeSantis is not supposed to be in this position of having to go chapter and verse on Nikki Haley 2 months before the Iowa caucus. So that's not where DeSantis was supposed to be. That's not where you want to be. So how do you make a move here at some point?
Well, of course, Governor Kim Reynolds just endorsed the Governor DeSantis. I've got to keep the governor straight here. Yeah. And she's beloved in Iowa and has been all in campaigning for him since then. He's just about to finish the full Grassley, as they call it, going to all 99 counties. No other candidate has even tried to get around the state so much. And we have an extensive door-knocking operation in support of the governor. We're on our fourth pass of Iowa's likely voters. Nobody has ever done this before this thoroughly. So I think that his grinding away, the man is a workhorse, not a show horse. You know, you want a show horse, you got Trump in the race. But and I worked for President Trump. I'm not anti-Trump, but he's not the best choice for president. He can't serve 8 years. He's slowing down. He's not the guy he was in 2016. And frankly, it's all about him instead of about changing America for the better, as DeSantis is focused on. So I think that breaks through. At this point, I think in 2015, Ted Cruz was in third place in Iowa, and he won Iowa. You know, this is a much thinner field than 2016, which makes a big difference going forward. And I think that Nikki Haley doesn't have staying power. Trump obviously does have staying power, if for no other reason than he gets so much media coverage. But DeSantis, we've been working in states all the way into the March states, and his record is literally the best of any conservative of our lifetimes. Taxes, life, Second Amendment, knocking back higher education, which has been one of the most difficult institutions in America to deal with, protecting kids in schools, beating the teachers' unions. I mean, the list goes on. And of course, COVID, he was right and Trump was wrong in spades. Spectacularly so, protecting freedom. And that freedom difference is most interesting with Nikki's latest double down on social media. I want their names. None of these anonymous people. And I love her when she was falling backwards on that. She said, well, just for foreigners, not for Americans. Well, really, how do you know anonymous people online are American?
Well, so what's the path ahead, though, for Governor DeSantis? I mean, polls right now show Trump winning Iowa, maybe Chris Christie winning New Hampshire, then off to South Carolina.
Chris Christie winning New Hampshire? What poll shows that?
That's
no. These are 30-point races right now, plus. Come on.
Yeah, so Iowa polling has never been correct on caucuses.
It's not off by 40 points. I mean, come on.
I hear you, but you know, you ask a question, I answer it, and the answer is he continues to grind away. And when people actually get to cast votes, then we get to the numbers that matter, which aren't polling numbers. We wouldn't all continue doing this if this was, a fruitless effort. And Trump has incumbent-like positioning, and I get that. We all get that. But the fact of the matter is the only one who can compete with him is Ron DeSantis, can also beat Joe Biden, and in fact runs ahead of polling, as we saw in Florida when we all thought, oh, there'll be a red wave across America. Well, there was a red wave in Florida, and that was it. And not only did Ron DeSantis win the biggest swing state by 19 points, he also increased his legislative majorities, and he helped 29 school board candidates get over the line. He didn't just win Miami-Dade by 10 points, which is amazing for a Republican. He helped take over a majority on the Miami-Dade school board. Look, this is a guy who's been literally the most conservative ever, and he's turned around and sold it to a very diverse electorate that is a lot like Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, states that Republicans need to win in 2024. And Donald Trump is in position to do that. You can say poll this, poll that. Add the conviction from Washington, D.C. to those polls and tell me what happens. Add RFK Jr. to those polls where he gets anti-COVID votes from Trump more than Biden, because Trump's the one who put us on the path we were on. You know, those are not factored in. You need to be realistic here about what's going to happen in the next year. Conservatives are supposed to face reality, not deny it. And when you face reality, Ron DeSantis has far and away the best chance to beat Joe Biden between him and Trump, and only Ron DeSantis can compete with Donald Trump across the entire Republican electorate.
Let's get to the transparency, regardless of who the nominee is. There's this bipartisan legislation that's been sponsored to standardize the postal envelopes that contain ballots for the purposes of tracking and uniformity. I mean, okay, it doesn't exactly set my heart aflame. That legislation, comment on that specifically, and then also, again, generally, do we want to do a stop, look, and listen on what your handle is with respect to ballot integrity, generally speaking, particularly in the swing states for next year?
Yeah, so it is very rare that there's much the federal government can do that is useful in this space. We spent 21 and 22 fighting off an attempted Democrat takeover in Washington of all our elections. But the post office is federal. It is the responsibility of the federal government. And literally, I've read the bill. It's 2 pages long, which I wish more federal bills were. And all it does is standardize tracking of post office envelopes so you can keep track of ballots. And that is a transparency step. It's a step in the transparency direction. I agree with you. It doesn't rock the world, but it is not bad, and it is a step in the right direction. More importantly, your other question, where are we in the swing states and all the states relative to 2024? And generally speaking, we are better off than we were going into the 2020 election. The negative counterexample to that is Michigan, but in Arizona, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Virginia, we are better off than we were going into the 2020 election. There's any combination of things. Getting rid of the Zuckerbucks, where so-called nonprofit money from Mark Zuckerberg was used to do Democrat voter turnout by paying government entities to do that. Over half the states have banned that now. Drop boxes have been wiped out in Wisconsin. For now, that fight continues, but that's an improvement. Same as in Georgia and Florida. They've been either eliminated or secured. Texas can say the same thing. North Carolina just passed. It took them 3 years to do it, but they just passed an omnibus election reform bill over the veto of the governor. It took one flip of a Democrat to become a Republican in the legislature there to get a veto-proof majority. And so we've seen Arizona, a whole bunch of little things. They're not mass mailing out ballot applications. They've put steps in place like Georgia to clean up their voter rolls. And the granddaddy of them all, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, is going back to Atlanta as an apology to Georgia for calling them all racist for cleaning up their election laws.
How about that? Okay, well, so there's no reason, there's every reason to believe that the Republican nominee can win those states if they do the blocking and tackling, the vote by mail programs, and the other
they need to do the
field
tackling.
work.
Absolutely.
But there's no to people who think it's rigged, we'll never win, we can't win these states, and so on and so forth. You say that is not true.
I say that is not true, and in fact, where we haven't finished with cleanup laws, like my home state of Virginia. In Virginia in 2021, they secured the ballot effectively by recruiting 4,000 new people to be election officers. And everybody listening to the three of us this morning can do this. Your local election office brings citizens in to run the poll books, to count the ballots, to check the envelopes from absentee ballots. All of those things are done by citizens who just step into the role during the election season. And I would urge everybody listening to get trained and do that. And you'll actually be paid a little bit of money, believe it or not. This is not a volunteer position. And there are groups out there like the Election Integrity Network that starts with the Virginia Institute for Public Policy, where they train people up to do this for your state. And you guys are heard across multiple states, but the fact of the matter is the folks listening to us, this is something they can do. And it worked with no change in the law. I'm telling you, as a former attorney general, more penalties don't keep people from cheating. And I got to say this part slowly. The probability of being caught doesn't change people's behavior, but their belief in the probability of getting caught changes their behavior. And when our folks flood the election offices, the other side gets nervous. They actually freak out.
We got to leave. We got to leave it.
We're up
We
against
got to
the
leave
clock.
it there. Thanks so much for that. Appreciate that. Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman of the Election Transparency
Good to be with
Initiative
you guys.
and former Virginia AG. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Zelensky says the Russians may attack the Balkans to misdirect away from Ukraine. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation will join us at 7:07 to discuss.
And it is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Will Israel work out a deal to get Hamas to free some hostages? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
If we are closer, and I hope we are, but I'm not sure we are. But if we are closer, it's because of the military pressure on Hamas. We've been hitting their military machine hard.
That's Mark Regev, senior advisor to Israel's prime minister, who also tells Fox they have found more evidence Hamas operated under Al-Shifa Hospital, showing hostages taken there after the October 7th terror attack.
We found documented evidence that those hostages were taken to the hospital by Hamas, not for medical treatment, but because that's where they were in prison, that's where they were held. There's also evidence of a young Israeli female soldier who was murdered there.
Fox's Trey Yingst is in southern Israel.
Over the weekend, we learned that 31 premature babies were evacuated from the facility to a hospital in southern Gaza. Well, today, those babies, some of them crossed into Egypt, where they will receive more medical care.
Now, there's fighting today near another hospital in Gaza where Palestinian officials say 12 people were killed in Israeli bombings. A Trump criminal case goes to an appeals court this morning. At issue, the special counsel in the federal election interference indictment wants a gag order reinstated.
The order barring the former president from making inflammatory statements about lawyers in the case and potential witnesses. Trump's lawyers call the gag order unconstitutional and present no evidence that his words caused harm or made anyone feel threatened.
Fox's Chris DeMeo. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter has died at age 96 at home in Georgia. Former President Jimmy Carter, who is also in hospice care, was by her side. He called her his political partner with her own White House office, even attending cabinet meetings.
That was the beginning of a lifelong crusade for me, to try to help make life better for people with mental illnesses.
President Biden paid tribute, calling the Carters an incredible family. Today, the president will celebrate his 81st birthday and carry out a Thanksgiving week tradition, pardoning 2 turkeys at the White House. America's listening to Fox News.
Skies are cloudy. We have 45 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's north side last week will be laid to rest today. A service for 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place at noon at Navy Pier's Grand Ballroom. 2 teens in Chicago are dead. They were shot. A pair of 14-year-olds were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley near the 8900 block of East 89th Place. There have been no arrests. An investigation is underway after a 3-year-old accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old brother in Gary, Indiana. It happened Friday, and neighbor Chrissy Mosley says she can't imagine the pain.
No mother should ever have to go through that. I'm just stunned. I mean, I don't even have the words to put into conversation what you do in a situation like that.
The mother told Gary police her older son found the gun in her purse when she left the bedroom. The NTSB believes it was a design flaw that likely caused a CTA train crash that left dozens of people hurt on Chicago's north side.
Why is it different today? Over time, cars get heavier. There are more passengers. We'll have to look at some changes that have been made to the system. That's essentially an old design.
Jennifer Hamadeh is with the NTSB. The train was traveling nearly 27 miles an hour when it struck the snow equipment. That equipment was scheduled to be on the tracks for training and was stopped, waiting for a signal. In other news we're following this morning, a Joliet nursing home resident, William Pascal, is accused of beating a fellow resident to death in an incident that happened Friday night at the Salem Village Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Ahead of the home heating season, consumer advocates are demanding even more regulatory oversight on Illinois utility companies. And 4 businesses in the Edgewater neighborhood were targets of the latest round of smash and grabs early Saturday morning, according to Chicago police. Lions rally from 2 possessions down late in the fourth quarter, and they take out the Bears 31-26 at Ford Field. the news service of the Salem Podcast Network. Hear the latest episodes from Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, and many more. Subscribe free, salempodcastnetwork.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes we've hit a new low.
Democrats slam Rashida Tlaib after she supports genocide against Israel. I don't know what's crazier, the Democrats denouncing her or the fact that a congresswoman supports genocide against the state of Israel. We are in dark times.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Everybody needs an edge. The other guy is working on his edge right now, whether you have one or not. Testosterone levels are at an all-time low historically, and individual T levels in men decline 1% every year with age. There's a new champion of natural testosterone boosters, and it's called CHOQ, CHOQ. 100% natural herbal extracts with game-changing effects on your energy, mood, and focus. CHOQ Daily's main ingredient has been clinically studied to boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity with higher T and a massive boost of energy by taking CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack every day. Take the 90-day CHOQ Challenge and reap the benefits of the reigning champion of natural men's health with CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack. For a very limited time only, CHOQ, CHOQ, is giving our listeners a 30% discount with promo code USA. That's CHOQ.com, code USA, for 30% off while supplies last.
Ashley Banfield and Chris Cuomo on America's fastest-growing cable news network, News Nation.
The viewer seems to have been lost in the shuffle of cable news lately. They don't want a team sport. They want the full picture.
The appetite is greater than it has ever been for perspective, for understanding, and for information that they can not just trust, but use.
See why more people are turning to News Nation, news for all America. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident West Side, North Lawndale neighborhood, Costner and West 5th. On the toll roads, we've got stop-and-go traffic early this morning, northbound between the Reagan and the Eisenhower merge. Dan Ryan slows up in the express inbound 47th all the way up to the Stevenson. The Stevenson itself right now jams up inbound Harlem to Kedzie. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist Steve Williams.
Lots of clouds and breezy this afternoon. Rain and drizzle for the late day, high 48. Rain tonight, low 42. Clouds, a bit of rain early afternoon tomorrow, the high 45. And then partly sunny on Wednesday, the high 46. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
At 7:08, it's time to call Perma-Seal Basement Systems, 800-421-7325. Time to check those temperatures. 45 at O'Hare, 46 at Midway, 43 in Aurora, 42 in Kankakee, and 45 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by CharlesEquipment.com. Keeping you powered up, no matter what the conditions. CharlesEquipment.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, we began the show with this story, but it bears repeating because it is really a seismic political event, and I'm talking about the election of Javier Milei as the next president of the country of Argentina. This is a radical capitalist, an economist by training and profession, who burst on the scene largely through debates and his own programming on television in Argentina. He had a
Booker's loved him because he was, he would speak quickly against government spending and ruling political class and ratings. He was a ratings grabber. He was awesome. But he spoke the truth, and he was real. He wasn't faking it.
He had a program where he would debunk the myths that are promulgated by socialists. Maybe we need a spin-off in the United States. Milei, in an interview he gave with Bloomberg News, I know some people saw him on Tucker. The interview, actually, that Bloomberg News did was more instructive. Talked about his positioning, his throw the bums out campaign, and what the ruling caste in Argentina has inflicted upon the people of Argentina.
And we're the ones who best represent the opposition to the establishment and the status quo, because deep down on the other side, there are socialists with bad manners or good manners. But there are all socialists who are impoverishing the country, and they're the same from 40 years ago. They've been leading Argentina for years, and it's getting poorer by the minute. In fact, in 2001, there were 2 and none left. They are the same from then, plus they've multiplied. So that's why we say that a different Argentina is impossible if things continue the same as always. And we're here to change that.
Socialists of good manners and socialists of bad manners, but they're all socialists. He could have been talking about Illinois. He could have been talking largely, some exceptions, largely about the Beltway as well. For more on that event, that election in Argentina, and other geopolitical matters, we're pleased to be joined again by Stephen Bucci. He served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. He's a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate you letting me come back.
So, Milei, Brexit 2.0?
It remains to be seen. Obviously, very flamboyant politician, very outspoken with his ideas, similar to a certain guy who ran here in the United States a while back, President Trump. But it's always interesting to me that anybody who is a little bit different than the standard run-of-the-mill politician, all of those politicians all start clutching their pearls and swooning that, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Let's wait and see. The people of the country elected him. Let's
end of the world, because I believe in what you say you believe in, but you don't. I'm standing against the rent-seeking corporate class who buys the politicians and captures the regulatory agencies to say free minds and free markets, free exchange, free trade. We don't do pacts with communists, whether they're communists under Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua or under President Xi in China. I mean, those are the things that we say. The difference is, it seems to me, he's serious about it, and you're not supposed to really be serious about it.
Exactly right. There's lots of window dressing, lots of posturing, but not a heck of a lot of action. And this guy appears like he is going to take action. So that's scary to the standard politicians in almost everybody's country. And we'll have to see where he goes. He could turn out to be a horrible guy. We don't know. But let's not hang him preemptively. The people elected him. That's their choice. Let's see what he does once he gets into office.
Moving over to Eastern Europe. So Zelensky is saying a lot of things about Russia's intentions. One, he said that Russia was behind October 7th through its Iranian allyship. Okay, I need some dot connecting there.
Yeah, that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah, that's what it seemed to me. He also said that Russia has plans to strike the Balkans to distract the West's attention away from Ukraine.
Now that's a much easier leap because they've already been doing some mischief in there with their friends, the Serbs, trying to stir things up in Bosnia-Herzegovina, where I spent time as their defense attaché there in Sarajevo, and spent a lot of time going up into the northern part of the country where the Serb minority lives, Kosovo, all those areas where Russia can influence the Serbs. They would love to see that change hands in several of those areas. So that one, I can believe that's sort of well within Russia's wheelhouse. Doing October 7th, I don't think so.
Moving over to the Middle East, we have so many theaters to cover. The reporting by the Amazon Post that there is a tentative deal between the Israeli government and Hamas, essentially, for a 5-day pause in the campaign in exchange for 50 hostages to be released. No men and no soldiers, but 50 hostages. What's your handle on that reporting?
It's possible Netanyahu left that open, that if there were a meaningful release of the hostages, that he would take a pause, not a ceasefire. And it looks like the leadership there in Israel have made a decision. If the reporting is true at all, I don't know that it is, but that one seems very possible. That would be a significant one, particularly to get some of the women and children out. But I don't think anybody in the West ought to make the mistake to think that this means Israel's going to stop and we're going to go back to the status quo prior to October 7th. I think Israel is going to continue this fight, and they are going to remove Hamas from their position of authority in Gaza, and they are not going to allow that to happen again.
Well, what is your reaction to, there's so many pro-Palestinian protests over the weekend here in Chicago on Saturday. They shut down 6 lanes at Lakeshore Drive. They took over. And I just wanted you to hear this. This is one of the protesters.
We're telling them no business as usual. We're not going to allow you to do business. That means we're going to shut down your major thoroughfare for hours if we have to.
So they're getting more aggressive, I would say, in their protesting tactics. How long is this going to continue?
Well, until somebody stops them. I think we have freedom of speech and freedom of assembly here in the United States, even for people who are not citizens of the country. But you don't have complete freedom of action to disrupt other people and disrupt business. And I think at a certain point, law enforcement needs to be allowed to step in and stop behavior that is not appropriate, that's destructive, or that impinges overly on the rights of other people doing their, living their lives and trying to go to their job and that sort of thing. And I'm sorry, every report that you see from Gaza reconfirms the horrific nature of what Hamas has done and what they are still doing. And, the leadership of Hamas has said repeatedly, no, we did everything that you guys said we did on October 7th. We're proud of it, and we're going to keep doing it. So why in the world would anyone think that Israel should be forced into some sort of accommodation with those folks is beyond me. And we need to step up across the Western world and say to some of these protesters, enough. We'll listen to you if you speak peacefully. You destroy things, you're going to go to jail, and if you're not a legal resident, you're going to be deported.
With respect to last week's confab between the big guy and Chinese dictator President Xi, other than calling him a dictator, was anything particularly accomplished in advance of America's interests in the Indo-Pacific?
You mean apart from the massively important thing that we're going to get some pandas back in the country?
Yeah, well, panda diplomacy is important. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't I don't think we got much of anything out of it, other than to confirm in President Xi's mind that he could roll President Biden over pretty much anything. And that's kind of the reality. It was not a stunning performance on President Biden's part at all.
It seems to me like if you really wanted to send a message to Xi, that would have been the perfect occasion to do it while he's being feted by some of America's top corporate executives, at least in terms of wealth. What a disgusting display that was. But that would have been the perfect time if you were interested. I know that Joe Biden isn't, but if you were interested to announce that we're going to, speed up the supply of weapons to Taiwan, or provide a roadmap to making sure that Taiwan is able to defend itself. Would that have been too provocative for you, or is that something that if there was a president interested in deterring Xi and Chinese expansion, that's something like that would have been appropriate?
No, I think something like that would have been very appropriate. The Chinese do all sorts of things that are provocative, building islands out in international waters and then claiming that that's now their waters because they built this island out there. That's like anchoring a aircraft carrier in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and claiming that as American waters. They do incredibly provocative things, but when we do something, they go crazy. Like when Nancy Pelosi visited, I can't think of anything I've ever agreed with Nancy Pelosi on, but making that visit to Taiwan, there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a sovereign nation, and if she wants to visit there as the Speaker of the House, she had every right to do it. And for the Chinese to just go crazy over it, I'm sorry, they can't control our policies. And if we let them do that, they will just keep doing it. And it's got to stop.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades, Army Special Forces, top Pentagon official as well. He's the visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen Bucci, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me. Have a great week and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from HealthInsuranceMentors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit HealthInsuranceMentors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
All right. Once again, our Food for the Poor campaign is underway as we help to provide life-saving food for children in Latin America and the Caribbean.
During this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs, millions of children and their families are suffering. They don't know where their next meal will come from, and of course that can lead to sickness, disease, and ultimately starvation. That's why we're partnering with Food for the Poor, which is a faith-based nonprofit that works directly with their partners on the ground in Latin America and the Caribbean to operate feeding centers. This relationship ensures that the money we raise during the campaign is used efficiently to get the food to children who need it the most. And as you may remember from previous campaigns with Food for the Poor, they're 5-star Charity Navigator rated. 90% plus of every dollar raised goes directly to providing goods and services for the beneficiaries that are intended, that we intend, that you intend. So your charitable dollar is going as far as it can in terms of serving others.
Right. And Dan, Food for the Poor has been doing this kind of work for 40 years in 17 countries around the world. They've fed millions of people and provided more than $15 billion in aid. And they're reputable and transparent, as you just mentioned, with how they raise and spend that money. So we're asking for a gift of $80. $80. That could feed 2 children for 1 year. For a gift of $320, you could feed 8 children for 1 year. That's the impact your gift can have. And to make a gift of any amount, please just call 844-862-4673. I'll say it again, 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
And if you're a business owner or you make the marketing decisions for your business, we're doing the Business Benefactor Program again. This is where you make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor, and we at AM 560 give you, your business, 41-minute commercials to air on this station, prime broadcast hours Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. That is the best deal in all of Chicago in terms of bang for your buck, and at the same time, you're providing life-saving food for more than 65 children in Latin America and the Caribbean. To become a business benefactor, you just call our general sales manager, and she is Ann Jeanette, and her number, 847-472-8951. Again, that's Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951 to become a business benefactor.
And we thank you in advance for your generosity.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem, we'll ship a kit to you. It's so fast and simple to use with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
All right, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Yes, fruits and veggies are powdered after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. And voila, the fruits and veggies that you're not getting on a daily basis, you can get in a capsule. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real nutrition. People who take it constantly come up to me and tell me their balance of nature success stories, whether it's weight loss, more energy. They love the stuff and swear by it. One lady says, I just feel like I'm doing something good for myself. So be one of the cool kids. Get your bottles of fruits and veggies today. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. First timers get free shipping and 35% off their first preferred bottles of fruits and veggies. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-555-2085. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-555-2085. That's 800-555-2085. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-555-2085.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This should be interesting based on the reporting on Marjorie Taylor Greene's recent, her recent book she just released. She's got a lot to say about some of her colleagues, and some of it is not too friendly. We'll talk to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, 7:37.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:31. We have cloudy skies this morning and 45 degrees. Tributes are pouring in following news that former First Lady Rosalynn Carter has died at the age of 96. Fox's John Scott with more.
Tributes pouring in from around the world honoring former First Lady Rosalynn Carter. She died peacefully in her Georgia home, surrounded by loved ones, including former President Jimmy Carter, to whom she was married for 77 years. Mrs. Carter is being remembered not only for her dedication to her husband during his 4 years in the White House, but also for decades of humanitarian work after Washington. Besides her husband, she is survived by 4 children and nearly 24 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Rosalynn Carter was 96.
Fox's John Scott says she died at her home in Plains, Georgia, after being diagnosed with dementia earlier this year. The U.S. is brokering a deal with Israel and Hamas to pause the war in Gaza and allow some hostages to be freed.
It's not a ceasefire because we will continue to push against Hamas to dismantle their military infrastructure and their terror infrastructure. We're not going to stop that.
People familiar with the negotiations tell the Washington Post that Israel and Hamas are somewhat close to an agreement where dozens of women and children currently being held hostage could begin to be released. The I-10 freeway now back open. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass posting late night that a welcome back message to L.A. residents will help with traffic on the I-10 freeway that has been shut down after a fire last Saturday. Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's north side last week will be laid to rest today. Service for 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place at noon at the Navy Pier Ballroom. 2 teens in Chicago are dead after they were shot. Police say a pair of 14-year-old boys were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley in the 800 block of East 89th. An investigation is underway after a 3-year-old accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old brother in Gary, Indiana. Police say the incident happened Friday night at a home in the 2100 block of Georgia Street. The mother telling Gary police the older son found the gun in her purse when she left the bedroom.
To see if this is simply going to be ruled an accident by the Lake County prosecutor, or they're going to seek some type of law enforcement action, criminal action. Commander Sam Roberts with Gary Police. Lions rally from down 2 possessions late in the fourth quarter. Take down the Bears 31-26 at Ford Field. The Bulls overcome a 21-point deficit for a 102-97 win over Miami. They take on the Heat again tonight.
Blackhawks surrender a game-winning goal in the third and lose 3-2 to Buffalo. The Blackhawks visit Columbus on Wednesday. The news service of the Daybreak Insider podcast. Subscribe free today at daybreakinsider.com. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Carolyn. I've been in private practice of physicians physical therapy for 35 years.
And you're going to come in, but breathe. Yep, perfect.
I open up at 4 a.m. and I'll go on till 10 a.m. and it's day after day. And as you can see by the equipment here, we are intensely active. People watch, they observe, and people say, Carolyn, what's your secret? And I say it's from proper diet, proper exercise, and of course through Balance of Nature. I'm 60, but since taking Balance of Nature, I feel the energy level of 27. I've been taking Balance of Nature for several years, and I love it. I endorse it, I believe in it, and I would recommend it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Make the hiring process work for you. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Edens at 30 minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction. If you're traveling on the Ike, you're stop and go First Avenue to Western. Dan Ryan inbound in the Express. You're jammed up 47 into the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy, cooler with afternoon rain and drizzle moving into the area. High 48, rain and 42 overnight. Currently 44. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, Sundays, noon to 1. Learn more online at mwmfinancial.tax.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. There's a new line of attack from Governor DeSantis' camp in the direction of former President Trump. You heard it mentioned in our conversation with former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli earlier in the program, and it was mentioned by Ron DeSantis on the Sunday talk shows. For example, his appearance with Jake Tapper, that Trump isn't the guy he was in 2016. And they mean that with respect to age and mental acuity.
Right.
It's been said before, but it's more pointed now. I mean, they've said it before, not a job for an octogenarian, if you've heard that from DeSantis. But but it's more pointed now. They must think that there is some ground to be gained by this approach. Take a listen.
Donald Trump's a high-risk proposition as a nominee because I think the chance of him getting elected is small, but it's a low reward because he's going to be a lame duck on day one. Even if he could get elected, he would not be able to attract the type of talent to work in his administration, and he'd be saddled with all these distractions that it'd be virtually impossible to get the job done. The presidency is not a job for somebody that's pushing 80 years old. I just think that that's something that has been shown with Joe Biden. Father time is undefeated. Donald Trump is not exempt from any of that. I think with somebody like me, you go in, I'm in the prime of my life. I go in day one. I'll serve 2 terms, deliver big results, and get the country moving again. That's what Republican voters want to see.
I don't know if it's – I think that's a bit of a misunderstanding of the energy behind Trump in large measure and how over the last several months he's been able to stretch out his lead and maintain it over the rest of the field. He'll be a lame duck on day one. Yeah, but the problem that DeSantis and the other candidates have is right now Trump is the vehicle by which to smash the political ruling class in D.C.
Right. And he has a proven record.
Well, that, and no one has more incentive, and no one would be a bigger, frankly, F-you to the rent-seeking bipartisan political class than Trump. And I think it's very, I understand that's a difficult argument to get around because the case is pretty strong and so is the intensity. But I think that's what that approach lacks in terms of addressing. And again, we keep referencing it. That election in Argentina yesterday with Milei wiping the floor with the socialists there on a campaign of throw the bums out and all of this big government, rent-seeking, central planning, that is all gone. We are charting a completely different course. Boy, I'll tell you, there's a lot of Argentinian kleptocrats and bureaucrats that better pick up a copy of Human Action to understand what's in store for them if Milei is able to get his way.
And I got to tell you, Dan, I just drove through Iowa. I was in northern Iowa. I did a loop around the state of Iowa. Trump signs everywhere. Watched the local news in Sioux City. It was all bashing DeSantis, pro-Trump ads. I just think it's – I know he got the endorsement of Governor Reynolds, but I don't think that that's going to elevate him much.
Well, Kim Reynolds is popular, and she's done a wonderful job in Iowa. Yeah. But, the endorsement that Trump is getting from Greg Abbott down in Texas, which focuses the attention on the border, it probably has more currency in Iowa even than Kim Reynolds because, as has been said, it was sort of unintentionally said last week by FBI Director Christopher Wray, but Mark Green translated it for us. Every state's a border state under this president. Mm-hmm. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can call her MTG because that's the title of her new book, MTG, which releases tomorrow. She's, of course, a Republican representing Georgia's 14th. Representative MTG, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, good morning to you both. Thanks so much for having me on.
What's your response to what Ron DeSantis had to say about Trump? High risk, a low reward. He's in the prime of his life and Trump is not.
I was actually chuckling when you guys were talking about it. It's pretty hilarious to hear him say that, especially after he received the endorsement of Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, and he literally made no movement in the state of Iowa. What you're hearing from him is the campaign talking points from the consultants that are getting rich off of his campaign while he steadily falls in the polls to nearly last place. People aren't supporting Ron DeSantis. People do not want him to be president. People want President Trump to win, and they're voting for him, and they're showing it in the polling literally week after week, not only the primary, but the general polling. And that's because he has a 4-year record that we all know and love, and we want him back. And when we talk about his age, look, I'm someone that can testify to President Trump's fitness level and his mental acuity because I spend a lot of time with him and talk to him so frequently. This man has more energy than most people I know. It is unbelievable. He never stops working. He sleeps less than all of us. He plays golf almost every single day, and he is constantly on the move, campaigning all over the country. So there's no criticism of him, regardless of his age. He's exactly who we need, and I'm telling you, he's going to win. So DeSantis needs to do the right thing, as well as the rest of the candidates. They need to drop out and stop wasting donor money, sitting around waiting for the radical left to put President Trump in jail or take him off the ballot in states. Is not very Republican of any of them. They're actually traitors for doing so and trying to capitalize on what the Democrats are doing to President Trump.
Well, with respect to Trump, I mean, this is a bit of a unknown. I mean, you can make arguments, I think, in both directions, but it's a bit of an unknown. What is your handle and response to criticisms of Trump that focus on the fact that he's got 4 criminal trials to go through, some of which will probably conclude between now and next November, and that if and when he is convicted of charges in some of these jurisdictions where that's more likely than not to be sure, how that could impact the race, the idea of the American people, the swing voter, trying to reconcile voting for somebody who's been convicted of a federal or state felony.
This is no threat to President Trump, because everyone knows exactly what these indictments are, and everyone knows the state DAs and Biden's Department of Justice is literally operating as the campaign arm for Joe Biden. None of this would be happening to President Trump if he weren't running for president again. And they're so terrified he's going to win, they're using lawfare and politically persecuting him, just the same way they're doing to January 6th people like veterans and grandmothers who walked through the Capitol, while at the same time they ignore every single elite that spent a lot of time at Jeffrey Epstein's island. There's many other arguments we could make, but I don't think these prosecutions are hurting him in any way. If any way, they're actually helping him, because they're proving to Americans that haven't maybe paid close attention exactly who the Democrats are. They're communists. And this we're seeing it firsthand in America today, what we've seen in countries like Brazil, with Bolsonaro. We've seen it in many countries throughout history, and it's happening in America. And I argue that President Trump will win the election, and more people will want to support him.
I wanted to get your reaction not your reaction, but your assessment. Where are the House Republicans after the deposing of Kevin McCarthy, the installation of Mike Johnson? I know you had a resolution to move impeachment of DHS Secretary Ali Mayorkas that got sidelined. And this is detailed in your book as well, the book entitled MTG. Your on-again, off-again relationship with the Freedom Caucus generally and individual members specifically. Where do you see the comity or lack thereof in the House Republican caucus?
Well, the great thing for me is I'm a free agent, and I didn't go to Washington to make friends or join a club, and that's the good news. Our GOP conference is still fractured the same way it was under Kevin McCarthy. There really is no change under Mike Johnson, and you just saw that with the clean CR that Mike Johnson passed with the help of Democrats. There was over 90 of us that voted against it because we do not want to continue Joe Biden's budget that has wide open borders, that's destroying our economy, filled with woke garbage and the Green New Deal. We don't want to. We want to fight back with the Senate and Chuck Schumer. We want to put pressure on the White House, and we want to change the funding of the government and reduce spending. Extremely important to do that, but we want to change the policies. That clean CR did not change the policies. It continued Nancy Pelosi's policies going forward. So for me, I'm completely against that. I'm happy he released 90 of the 44,000 hours from the January 6th tapes. I hope he releases the rest of them. But we just don't want videos for everyone to watch. We need accountability. We need a special committee set up to hold those accountable for lying and abusing the justice system, and a powerful January 6th committee that has hurt so many people and ruined so many people's lives. So for me, I didn't go to Washington to make friends. That's what I wrote my book about, MTG, and I hope people get a copy at mtgbook.com. because I'm there to do a job, and it's not about being friends with people. It's about working for the American people.
Well, in your book, too, you talked about how you got booted from the Freedom Caucus. Did you really found out about the vote on Twitter? They didn't have the decency to tell you?
Yeah, I found out when this is how bad it was. Sitting on the House floor, it was just a few hours after it happened, when the chairman of the Freedom Caucus and those that had taken the vote were literally sitting a few rows away from me, and no one came up and told me anything about it. They didn't even tell me it was going to happen, didn't tell me they had done it, and I read it on Twitter while I was sitting there scrolling through Twitter on in between votes. And I went and asked another Freedom Caucus member, I said, did this really happen this morning? And he said, yes, it did. And I said, I had no idea. No one even told me, and no one's had the audacity to come tell me now. And it's, I want you to know Ken Buck is a member of the Freedom Caucus, and he goes every single week to every single meeting. So there's, people really need to understand that there's a core group in there that really aren't who they say they are. And unfortunately, they made that decision again.
Well, why did they kick you out, though? Tell people.
What's your intuition?
I don't know. I have, if you look at my voting record, I'm one of the most conservative members in the House. I have a 100 on conservative review. That's my scorecard. Those are my actions, not my words. And I think they just were upset with me. That they claimed it was because I had a conversation with Lauren Boebert on the House floor, where she had copied my articles of impeachment on Joe Biden, and it was a private conversation. There was no one listening to that conversation, but as soon as it was over, she went to the press and told people what I said to her, and it happened after that. So I still don't know why, because I haven't went and asked them about it. I'm glad to be out of a group that doesn't stick to their own rules and that support people like Ken Buck over me. I was their second highest.
Did you call her the B word?
Yes, I did, to her face in a private conversation. But that was a private conversation. And it shouldn't have, she leaked it to the press. So
who you said some of the people in the Freedom Caucus aren't who they say they are. Who is? Give us examples of people you say these are authentic conservative reformers.
Well, there are a lot of great members in there. You got to realize that it's a group of close to 40 members, and so I encourage people to look at.
But I mean, you're not on an island. I mean, you have to work with some of your colleagues. I mean, so who do you have good relationships with?
Oh, and I do work with many of my colleagues. As a matter of fact, on my articles of impeachment on Mayorkas, there was only 8 Republicans that voted against me. So that shows that I have a good working relationship with people on issues that are extremely important. But, my book I think it's a great read, mtgbook.com. You guys can find out exactly who I really am, not who the headlines say I am, or just a short radio interview. And I hope people get a copy of it and order it.
All right. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman representing Georgia's 14th. The book, MTG, as you heard, mtgbook.com. Representative Taylor Greene, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me this morning, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you too. And appreciate, hopefully we'll have you back. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Are you Looking for a meaningful way to preserve our nation's history? Consider purchasing a Blueprints of Liberty brick. Each purchase helps to build Liberty Village. By sponsoring a brick, you become a part of the Blueprints of Liberty Village, a unique destination that brings our founding history to life. This family-friendly location will provide an opportunity for youth and visitors to encounter history like never before. Visit UnitedWePledge.org to order your Blueprints of Liberty brick today.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
Whether you want to travel on-road, off-road, or off the grid, Line X has you covered. When you want the best protection from everything Mother Nature can throw at you, Line X has that covered too. For high-quality bed liners and truck accessories designed to endure the elements and last a lifetime, ask for Line X Spray-On Protective Coatings and travel on. Don't just protect it, Line X it at Line X of Roselle. This is the truck protection for hardworking folks hauling stuff all over Chicago roads and getting beat up in Chicago weather. Line X of Roselle can set you up with spray-on bed liners and accessories for your truck. They also do undercoat and rust proofing on pickup trucks, cars, and light-duty vehicles. You'll have the peace of mind knowing your truck is protected along with your cargo. Call Steve at Line X of Roselle, 630-980-8020, or go to LineExtremeTrucks.com. LineExtremeTrucks.com. Line X of Roselle, a proud supporter of Food for the Poor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Carolyn. I've been in private practice of physicians physical therapy for 35 years.
And you're going to come in, but breathe. Yep, perfect.
I open up at 4 a.m. and I'll go on till 10 a.m. and it's day after day. And as you can see by the equipment here, we are intensely active. People watch, they observe, and people say, Carolyn, what's your secret? And I say it's from proper diet, proper exercise, and of course through Balance of Nature. I'm 60, but since taking Balance of Nature, I feel the energy level of 27. I've been taking Balance of Nature for several years and I love it. I endorse it, I believe in it, and I would recommend it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
What if you could build a 6-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a 6-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
You heard Congresswoman MTG mention it. The newly released videos from January 6th. Let's get a handle on what we now know from those released videos with Julie Kelly at 8:08.
Yeah, she's the best in the business. And they shouldn't drop it on a Friday. How about a Monday? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is the one and only Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Services today for the firefighter who died in the line of duty. The NTSB says a design flaw likely caused the CTA crash last week. 2 teens have been found shot to death on Chicago's south side. The Bears can't hold off the Lions, and the Blackhawks give up a late goal in a loss. WIND Chicago News Time 8.
It's a big week to travel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. AAA estimates more than 55 million Americans will go at least 50 miles for Thanksgiving, an over 2% increase from last year, most by car, paying 37 cents a gallon less for gas. For those flying,
17 million people have signed up for TSA PreCheck, which is a brand new record.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol at Atlanta's airport.
You could, though, be beating the rush today because the busiest day to fly is Tuesday and Wednesday and the Sunday after Thanksgiving.
TSA predicts there could be 2.9 million passengers that Sunday. Later this hour, we'll hear from Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg about holiday travel. President Biden will carry on a Thanksgiving tradition today, pardoning 2 turkeys, as a new NBC poll says the latest survey showing him trailing former President Trump head-to-head by 2 points.
Biden's job approval among independents down at just 30%. We know that in a variety of polls, roughly 3/4 of voters have cited President Biden's age as a problem for them. Today is his 81st birthday.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. An appeals court will hear arguments today in one of the 4 Trump criminal cases. The federal one related to the 2020 election. The special counsel is trying to get a gag order reinstated to bar the former president's comments about lawyers and witnesses. Israel keeps going after Hamas in Gaza, but Mark Regev, a senior advisor to the prime minister, tells Fox the probability of a deal to release some hostages has gone up.
Hamas, as we hit them hard, needs that time out. It'll only be a temporary ceasefire.
Regev also says they have more evidence Hamas used the besieged Al-Shifa hospital as a command center, that hostages were taken there October 7th after the terror attack. And
we've got pictures of the tunnels. We've got picture of this shaft going down underground, deep underground, and leading to the network of tunnels that Hamas has there.
America's listening to Fox News.
Skies are cloudy. We have 44 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott, a Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's north side last week, will be laid to rest today. The services for the 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place at noon at the Navy Pier Ballroom. 2 teens in Chicago are dead. They were shot. Police tell us a pair of 14-year-olds were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley in the 800 block of East 89th Place. There have been no arrests. An investigation is underway after a 3-year-old accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old brother in Gary, Indiana. Police say the incident happened Friday night at a home in the 2100 block of Georgia Street. Police say the mother told Gary investigators the older son found the gun in her purse when she left the bedroom.
Ruled an accident by the Lake County prosecutor, or they're going to seek some type of law enforcement action, criminal action.
Commander Sam Roberts says so far no charges have been filed. The NTSB believes it was a design flaw that likely caused a CTA train crash that left dozens hurt last week on Chicago's north side.
Why is it different today? Over time,
cars get heavier, there are more passengers. We'll have to look at some changes that have been made to the system. That's essentially an old design.
Jennifer Homaday was with the NTSB. Chicago sports, Lions rally from 2 possessions down late in the fourth quarter. Beat the Bears 31-26 at Ford Field. Bulls overcome a 21-point deficit to beat the Heat over the weekend 102-97, and they take on the Heat again tonight. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, and you can join today. 560theanswer.com/join. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are narrowly higher on this holiday-shortened week. The markets are off for Thanksgiving Day, and there's a short trading day on Friday. The recent rally has been led by lower interest rates and speculation that the Federal Reserve can start lowering rates by the middle of next year. Microsoft shares are up more than 1% after the company revealed it has hired artificial intelligence developer Sam Altman to lead a new Microsoft AI research team. OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, pushed Altman out as chief executive on Friday. The credit crunch and hybrid work are making it harder for office owners to get loans. The Wall Street Journal says the share of some office loans that are delinquent has tripled over the past year to more than 5%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Ashley Banfield and Chris Cuomo on America's fastest-growing cable news network, News Nation.
The viewer seems to have been lost in the shuffle of cable news lately. They don't want a team sport. They want the full picture.
The appetite is greater than it has ever been for perspective, for understanding, and for information that they can not just trust, but use.
See why more people are turning to News Nation, news for all America. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
Calling all Patriots. Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me on the Patriots Alaska cruise in June 2024. We'll dive deep into geopolitical trends and unpack the influences shaping the world today. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with me and other Patriots on an epic 7-day journey. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join us from June 29th to July 6, 2024. Book online, patriotsalaskacruise.com.
Everybody needs an edge. The other guy is working on his edge right now, whether you have one or not. Testosterone levels are at an all-time low historically, and individual T levels in men decline 1% every year with age. There's a new champion of natural testosterone boosters, and it's called CHOQ. CHOQ. 100% natural herbal extracts with game-changing effects on your energy, mood, and focus. Chalk Daily's main ingredient has been clinically studied to boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity with higher T and a massive boost of energy by taking Chalk's Male Vitality Stack every day. Take the 90-day Chalk Challenge and reap the benefits of the reigning champion of natural men's health with Chalk's Male Vitality Stack. For a very limited time only, Chalk, CHOQ, is giving our listeners a 30% discount with promo code USA. That's CHOQ.com, code USA, for 30% off while supplies last.
.809, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And on the Edens, 21 in Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy sitting at a solid 45 minutes right now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike outbound jams up Manheim to the Tri-State. The Stevenson in 29 from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Delays on the toll roads? Not too bad. Right now, northbound Tri-State, a tough spot, 47 up through the Grand Avenue curve. Round Lake, an accident bottling up Fairfield Road in both directions between Nippersink and Hart Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. The latest now is Steve Williams.
Lots of clouds and breezy this afternoon. Rain and drizzle for the late day, high 48. Rain tonight, low 42. Clouds, a bit of rain early afternoon tomorrow, the high 45. And then partly sunny on Wednesday, the high 46. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
44 at O'Hare, your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, one agent provocateur from January 6th was found guilty of several felony charges. John Sullivan, you remember this guy? He was a BLM activist who presented as a January 6th pro-Trump protester.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
And he was caught on film because he was filming, saying things like this.
It's all fake. My face is not on Instagram. I learned that shit already. I'm gonna wear a Trump hat. I bought one today. I was wearing a Trump hat at the Trump rally during the daytime because I was like, nah, that shit ain't happening, bro. Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, I was just a journalist, but I use that all the time. Yeah, I'm just a journalist. I'm here recording. I got my camera on my shoulder. Literally have my big camera on my shoulder right here.
He also said, among other things, caught on tape, I'm going to side with anyone who's ready to rip this blank down. I bought my megaphone to instigate blank. We did this together. F yeah, we're all part of this history. Let's burn this blank down. And the prosecutors used that against him since he was in the Capitol and in instigating the same sort of illegal conduct that he was engaged in. But it's interesting. So on the one hand, you have an agent provocateur like Sullivan, charged and convicted. You have Ray Epps, after months and months and months, years really, of we don't know who this guy is. He seems to be an instigator, and nobody will claim him as an asset, but he's not charged with doing the same things or worse than other people did who are charged. And then all of a sudden, after so much time and so much notoriety, he quietly pleads guilty to a misdemeanor.
Right.
So,
and he was on 60 Minutes. I mean, he's had freedoms for.
So he was an instigator, I guess, according to the feds, after he wasn't for all that time when he was wanted and then he wasn't wanted. It's just tough to make heads or tails of all this because there are so many people and there are so many agendas and there are so many incongruities. And now we have more video evidence, thanks to the additional tapes that Mike Johnson released. And by the way, I'll have to mea culpa this. I was sort of giving Kevin McCarthy the benefit of the doubt when it came to the amount of January 6th recordings he released, saying, I mean, he's good faith. He turns it over to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson uses it. So everybody focuses the attention on one guy who you trust to distill this for us. But after that may have been an okay first step. But after that, the rest should come out, and I agree that the rest should continue to be released by Mike Johnson, and I hope they will. But trying to get a handle on what the larger story is as you go individual story by individual story and try to assess whether people who are similarly situated are being treated equitably under the law, equally under the law, I should say, equally under the law. And because you can't get any answers still from the feds. I mean, Chris Wray was before the House Committee on Homeland Security last week, and Representative Clay Higgins from Louisiana pressed him on, okay, here we are. The questions again. Can you now tell us whether or not the FBI had confidential human resources and other assets in play on that day? And again, he refused, and Clay Higgins was basically left to say, your day will come, Christopher Wray, but no one knows if that's really true. We'll see. All right, to help us, nobody's been more on the case of January 6th than all that transpired on that day and the prosecution or lack thereof of individuals from that day than Julie Kelly. You can get her writings at her Substack, Declassified with Julie Kelly. She's also the author of the book January 6th, How Democrats Used the Capitol Protest to Launch a War of Terror, a war on terror against the political right. Julie, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for having me on.
Before we even get to the new tapes, what about, maybe you can provide clarity where I can't with respect to how should we see the conviction of John Sullivan and the plea deal of Ray Epps, these agent provocateurs that we alleged, and it was disputed at the time, and then now they're convicted of their respective crimes. How should we see that in the context of the larger concerns that you've written about and that many people have expressed about the way that people that committed relatively minor nonviolent trespass offenses have been treated by the justice system? What's like the big takeaway that you have from things that appear to be hard to reconcile?
Well, as your listeners know, the big takeaway is the Department of Justice, led by Merrick Garland, and in Washington, led by Matthew Graves, a Biden appointee, is not applying the law equally. Now, in the case of John Sullivan, the DOJ actually was sort of in a corner there because John Sullivan, among other things, filmed the fatal shooting of Ashley Babbitt.
Right.
So there was a lot of pressure, of course, to hold him accountable for his actions, for his comments. We know that he was aligned with BLM in Salt Lake City. So here we are almost 3 years later, his trial repeatedly delayed and finally convicted last week. Now, in the case of Ray Epps, the DOJ has intentionally and repeatedly lied and mischaracterized his movements on January 5th and 6th. In fact, I used surveillance video, my team. We scoured the footage on the west side of that building. He was involved in numerous offenses that day, including interfering with police officers. He's not charged with that. He should definitely be charged with the most common felony, obstruction of an official proceeding, which has been slapped against more than 300 J6ers and is one of the 4 counts in special counsel Jack Smith's indictment against Donald Trump for January 6th. Ray Epps is being protected. I was told this by one defendant, Ryan Samsel, who Ray Epps whispered in his ear right before Ryan Samsel was involved in the first physical breach of the exterior lines. Why he is still being protected, we don't know. The media,
so pleading out to the misdemeanor, that's like a Hunter Biden deal. Is that what we're to understand?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. I mean, I think I went through the 1,200 plus cases for January 6th. There may be 2 defendants who face only 1 charge. This is so highly unusual that he isn't even charged with the most common 4 misdemeanors, that he only has 1. So there's still a lot more to this. We don't have the sentencing recommendation from DOJ. I'm very curious to see what they'll ask for at any time for him behind bars, because, of course, they are asking for jail time for misdemeanors. So it's just one of the big questions, right? Ray Epps and this misapplication of justice, whether you're a J6er, you get the book thrown at you, you get armed FBI raids if you sprayed police. But if you sprayed police last week outside of the DNC, we're not subjected to armed FBI raids. We don't even know your name. The DOJ and Capitol Police will completely ignore that and bury that, even though that same conduct is resulting in armed FBI raids, pretrial detention, and prison sentences up to 7 years in jail. So that, I think, to your point, is what really infuriates our side, is that we have a DOJ flagrantly using this double standard of justice based on what political side you're allied with.
So there's 44,000 hours of January 6th footage. 90 videos were released on Friday afternoon, which I think he should release them on a Monday because more people would see it. But in it, you see, and I wanted you to explain further, Matthew Perna, he was wearing a red sweatshirt and he was casually wandering around, not doing anything, but he hung himself because the government refused to acknowledge that some people walked inside the Capitol and wandered around. And how many people have committed suicide that were arrested on J6 or after J6 for being at the Capitol?
At least 4 that we know of, possibly 2 others. But they are committing suicide because they have been subjected to this abusive, retaliatory prosecution by the Department of Justice. Matthew Perna hanged himself in his garage in February of 2022. I spoke with his father and his aunt a few days after that tragic incident. And the reason he hanged himself is because the DOJ had charged him with this obstruction felony I just talked about. And the government told his defense attorney that they were going to seek a terror enhancement at sentencing. Usually his lawyer had told him, you might spend 6 to 12 months in jail. But DOJ postponed his sentencing hearing and told his lawyer they would seek years in prison. Matthew Perna never had a criminal record, walked inside the building peacefully, walked inside after Congress had been evacuated, about 45 minutes after. He posed no threat to anyone. College degree, a businessman. Instead of enduring what the DOJ had already done to him and his family, and now wanted to throw him behind bars for years because he supported Donald Trump, not because he obstructed an official proceeding, because he supported Donald Trump. That they wanted to throw him in jail.
We have some of these videos that have been released. You know, I mean, it's obviously a lot to pour through, and more to come, I suspect. But just for example, I saw Citizen Free Press, it's a good Twitter follow, in addition to Julie Kelly. They posted one. You have police inside the Capitol walking a protester out who was handcuffed. Then they unhandcuff him, and they fist bump the cop and this young guy, and he walks out. He walks out the door, and the police go back about their business. I mean, so I don't know if that's somebody who's been charged with anything, but that's the kind of thing where it's like, so what exactly, it's uneven. Obviously, there were things that we've seen from the videos that were violent, and there was problems happening at the Capitol, but then there were other areas and other interactions that were not terribly problematic, and it's hard to keep track because there's so many people that have been charged, like who is being treated how, based on what, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I certainly do. I absolutely do. So the individual in that clip, ironically, was just arrested 2 weeks ago. Now, the DOJ knew that these clips were coming because Kevin McCarthy's office has been working on this for months. They knew that clip was going to be released, so they arrested that individual just a few weeks ago, almost 3 years later. Now, what is interesting about that clip, not just the fist bump that he gives someone who obviously is an undercover agent dressed in khakis, has a face mask. Right. Who is that guy? Right. What was he doing? But the individual they released, Jared Owens, who was just charged, They accused him of assaulting police twice, that he had a knife on him. They took the knife out of his side hip pocket and put it in his backpack and then let him leave. Now, that is highly suspicious. And there was a very good chance that that individual was some sort of asset, too. They burned him because they knew this clip was coming. They burn their assets all the time to protect themselves. So there's going to be a lot more, I suspect, coming out of that incident as well.
You said Kevin McCarthy was working on this with DOJ. So was Kevin McCarthy, generally, would you characterize him as being constructive in trying to get these videos released?
I do. I am going to give him credit because I've been working with his staff for months. But look, my sources tell me there was some very powerful opposition to the release of these videos by people in the U.S. Senate. I'm hoping to get confirmation about that and release that shortly. And people might be surprised, or maybe not, who objected to the release of these videos.
No, that would definitely be important information, as these videos are going to further and appropriately, unfortunately, drive cynicism about law enforcement and the intel agencies and the political class, and even, obviously, that would include many in the Republican ranks, too. Great stuff. I mean, I'll always follow your reporting on this because you're so on top of it. Julie Kelly. Declassified with Julie Kelly is her Substack. She's also the author of the book January 6th, How Democrats Use the Capitol Protests to Launch a War on Terror Against the Political Right. Julie, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you too. And she joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Is your inbox overflowing with Black Friday deals? The deal you won't want to miss is Blinds.com's biggest event all year. Save up to 50% site-wide at the #1 online retailer of custom window treatments. For over 25 years, Blinds.com has provided a better way to buy window treatments. 100% online, so there's no showroom markups or waiting hours to get a quote from pushy salespeople. And you'll always rest easy with Blinds.com's upfront pricing. From premium shades, blinds, shutters, and more. DIY, or let us handle measure and installation for you. Plus, get a free consultation with our Blinds.com design experts, always ready to help you make the perfect selection. They'll even ship free samples right to your door. No matter how many windows you have, installation is one low cost, and every purchase is backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop Blinds.com's Black Friday sale now. Get up to 50% off site-wide plus doorbusters. Save up to 50% at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
All right. Once again, our Food for the Poor campaign is underway. We're so excited about it as we're going to help provide life-saving food to children this year in Latin America and the Caribbean.
During this season of economic decline, unemployment, rising food costs, millions of children and families are suffering. Of course, it's even more pronounced in the developing world, Latin America and the Caribbean, which is where we're focused. These families and their kids simply don't know where their next meal will come from, which can lead to sickness, disease, and ultimately starvation, which is why we are partnering with Food for the Poor again. They're a faith-based nonprofit that work directly with their partners on the ground in the affected countries to operate feeding centers. This relationship ensures that the money we raise during this campaign is used efficiently to get food and water to the kids and families who need it most. 90 cents plus in every dollar raised goes directly to the provision of food and water, the life-saving materials that these families need.
And there's such a great charity that Food for the Poor has been doing this kind of work for over 40 years in 17 countries around the world. And here's the ask. We're asking for a one-time gift of $80. Think about it, just $80. With that, you can feed 2 children for 1 year. For a gift of $320, you could feed 8 children for 1 year. That's the impact your gift can have. And to make a gift of any amount, I mean, it doesn't have to be $80. It could be more. It doesn't have to be $320, but any amount at all would be much appreciated. The number to call, 844-862-4673, 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
And if you're a business owner, you make the marketing decisions for your business, consider becoming a business benefactor. We're doing that program again, as we have in years past. You make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor. And AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air on our airwaves, prime broadcast hours, Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. That's the best deal in all of Chicago radio in terms of advertising. And the kicker, of course, is you'll be providing life-saving food for more than 65 children. To become a business benefactor, just call our general sales manager. Her name is Ann Jeanette. She'll be happy to help you. Oh, yes. Sign up for the program. Call her at 847-472-8951. Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951 to become a business benefactor.
If you're interested in securing a mortgage, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. During COVID, rates dropped into the twos, which helped mortgage professionals have record years. But things took a drastic turn in January of 2022. Rates started the year in the threes and ended in the sevens, which not only eliminated qualified buyers, but also forced many mortgage professionals to leave the industry. Rates were in the sevens at the beginning of this year and are currently around 8%, which is further reducing qualified buyers and putting more pressure on mortgage professionals to get out of the business. Team Hochberg isn't going anywhere. The next time you need a mortgage and can't locate your previous loan officer, call Team Hochberg 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners, and we're not going anywhere. Give us a call now at 855-56david or visit our website 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Dan Proft here. When it comes to health, there are numbers every man needs to know, including our testosterone number. I recommend going to Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know your results in about 25 minutes. Low testosterone levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, can cause lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
L.A. man defends himself against two armed robbers at his front door, and the LAPD moves to revoke his right to carry license. 8:38.
And later, am I, marking Jimmy Carter for death, Dan? I don't know. We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Cloudy skies and 44 degrees, 8:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, the wife of the nation's 39th president, has died.
President Biden spoke about the former First Lady while making a stop in Norfolk, Virginia Sunday, saying the Carters were an incredible family. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden remembered Carter's unwavering commitment to mental health care and the crucial role of caregivers in American life. Former First Lady Melania Trump, in a post on X, formerly Twitter, wrote, "We will always remember her servant's heart and devotion to her husband, family, and country. May she rest in peace." Rosalynn Carter, who in recent days had entered hospice care at home in Plains, Georgia, died at the age of 96 Sunday with her family by her side. Former President Jimmy Carter has called his wife an extension of myself. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
At least 12 Palestinians are dead. Israeli tanks have reportedly surrounded another hospital in Gaza and fired into it earlier today. Israel hasn't commented on the situation at the Indonesian hospital. Israeli government spokesman Avi Hyman discusses the importance of bringing hostages home first.
We will keep up the pressure because we know that the more pressure we apply on Hamas, the more likely it is that those hostages will be released. And we want nothing more than the freedom of those hostages, than for those hostages to be reunited with their families in Israel.
Fox News Live had Hyman as a guest yesterday. Chicago firefighter who died battling a blaze on the city's north side last week will be laid to rest today. Service for 39-year-old Andrew Price will take place at noon at Navy Pier's Grand Ballroom. Two teens in Chicago are dead after they were shot. A pair of 14-year-old boys were found yesterday with gunshot wounds to the body in an alley near the 800 block of East 89th Place. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. No arrests have been made. The NTSB says a design flaw likely caused a CTA train crash that left dozens of people hurt last week on Chicago's north side. However, Jennifer Hamadeh with the NTSB says the CTA is safe.
You are much safer taking the train. I would take the train tonight, tomorrow. I have no concerns, safety concerns about taking the train.
Train was traveling nearly 27 miles per hour when it struck snow equipment that was scheduled to be on the tracks for training and was stopped, waiting for a signal. A Joliet nursing home resident is accused of beating a fellow resident to death. The incident happened on Friday night at Salem Village Nursing and Rehabilitation. William Pascal, according to police, attacked the victim after becoming angry about use of the washing machines. Chicago sports. Bears lost to the Lions 31-26 at Ford Field. The news, a service of Boost Infinite, and a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Did you know most vitamin supplements have a warning label on the back? That's because without the synergy of thousands of nutrients working together that are found naturally in whole fruits and vegetables, vitamins are not balanced. This is why Balance of Nature only uses whole fruits and vegetables, no isolates or synthetic vitamins of any kind. We take a variety of 31 of the highest quality fruits and vegetables and remove the water without changing the rich chemistry. It's then ground to a powder, blended to perfection, and encapsulated, preserving the nutrients and making it easy to get the fruits and vegetables you need. So even though Balance of Nature comes in a capsule and looks like a vitamin, it's very different. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois. Online at papanicholas.com.
8:36 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and we're watching in Round Lake this morning, and Fairfield Road, north and southbound, remained shut down due to a bad accident between Nippersink and Hart Road. I-80 stop and go, and I-80 is going to be a mess for quite a while this week with the ongoing holiday rush. I-80 eastbound between Larkin and the Des Plaines River Bridge jammed up. Solid traffic on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. That's typical. Inbound Dan Ryan, 20 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. I-55 accident. 2 left lanes are blocked. Cars into the wall right at Weber Road. Traffic, a service of Lowe's. Get great deals all month long when you shop Black Friday every day at Lowe's. Buy 1 DeWalt 20-volt Max 4 tool combo kit. Get 2 select tools free. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. And, of course, selection varies by location. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds, cooler, rain on the way for the day. High 48 this afternoon. More rain and 42 overnight. Currently 44 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is one of those stories that's really going to crystallize the issue of public safety, certainly for the residents of L.A., and it's going to keep public safety on the front burner when the law-abiding are treated like criminals and you have prosecutors that are treating criminals like, well, I wouldn't say the law-abiding, because the law-abiding be treated like criminals. They're just treating them as they have carte blanche to do whatever they want because of their intersectional score. The incident we're talking about happened to Vince Ricci, who's an L.A. resident by way of New York. He is getting home, walking up to his front door, and then he is assailed by two guys with guns. He turns to defend himself. The ABC affiliate in L.A. had the story.
Surveillance video shows a masked intruder with a gun run up to this mid-city man about to walk in his front door. The homeowner pulls out his gun to defend himself, firing shots at the two intruders, quickly entering a shootout.
I guess they decided to try to come at me and come in the house, but I have a 5-month-old baby and a wife, nanny in the house, and that wasn't going to happen. There was nothing in my house that was worth dying for, but I was willing to die for my family.
The shootout happened Saturday night around 7:30. The homeowner walks to the front door, grabbing for his keys. Two intruders jump the front gate. One intruder runs up to the front door. The mid-city man throws his tea, pulls out his gun, and starts shooting.
And out of nowhere, I felt someone run up behind me, put something to my back, and I put a pistol to my back, and somebody else running up.
When shots are fired, the intruders disperse. One fires back, scrambling to hop over the side fence. The other hops over the front gate and runs away. After the attack, the family filed a report with the LAPD Olympic Division.
It's a matter of time before these people are going to get caught. I think they should just pick a new career before they do end up in jail.
Okay, so that's what happened. This is a couple of Saturdays ago. And it took 3 days, I guess, for the police to respond and address the video evidence that he had and what transpired. So he was a little critical of the response time by LAPD. And then LAPD...
How did they respond, Dan?
Responded by moving to revoke Vince Ricci's right to carry license.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line that's all fired up. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. Why would they do that? He had the right to defend himself. You can see in the video the guy is pointing a gun at him, and he dropped his tea and got out his weapon and fired back in self-defense.
Well, Vince Ricci has responded to the state of California, effectively, the law enforcement and state government, the issuer. He's responded to their response by doing a video for the NRA. And here it is.
LA criminals came to my home, pointed guns at my chest. After successfully defending my home and my family and my 5-month-old child, California is now deciding to suspend my Second Amendment. It was a quiet evening, and as I was coming home from the gym, two armed men, masked, hopped over the wall, ran down on me with guns. And the most terrifying part was my wife and my 5-month-old baby were on the other side of that door. In an effort to protect my family, I drew my gun and returned gunfire. As a result of that night, the California government has temporarily suspended my ability to concealed carry. This is an attempt to make me vulnerable at a time that is critical that I maintain my ability to protect my family. They'd rather leave me out there to dry and let my family become a statistic. My situation is unique because it happened at my front door, all on camera. But this happens time and time again all over the country. And others get caught on camera, and people sweep it under the rug because it doesn't behoove their political agenda. The fact is, evil will always exist, but we need our ability to defend ourselves and keep our families safe from violent people. Just a few months ago, robbers broke into my home looking for easy money. Luckily, none of us were home. But then they came back. I used to walk in this house, into my beautiful house that I built for my family, and now I walk into a war zone. Criminal is someone who doesn't follow the laws. They don't care about gun laws. They don't care about safety classes. They don't care about being qualified to be able to shoot. California government thinks my story is a myth. They They don't think people like me actually exist. Right here in LA, an innocent LA father was killed because District Attorney Gascon released a violent criminal back into the streets. And this is just one of the dozens of cases right here in this city. When an incident happened, there was only two things I could rely on: myself and the Second Amendment. And now that's in jeopardy. The leftist gun grabbers do not care about your safety. The NRA does. My name is Vince Ritchie. I'm an Italian-American from the Bronx, New York. And I'm a proud member of the National Rifle Association.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Just like the carjacking in Beverly, it's not real for people until you see the Ring camera video of it, or the security camera footage of it, right?
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, LAPD didn't like his attitude, and they're treating criminals like victims.
Yeah. Right. Well, right, because of the, the white supremacist culture, blah, 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 the downtrodden this, and wasn't held enough that. No, I understand. But I think this is, these incidents, particularly when people stand up the way that Richie did, and good for him. I mean, right, he had his home broken into, relatively recently. This looks like a nice pad he's got. It looks like it's relatively new construction. Yeah. He had an electric gate, so it's not like it's an
8-foot gate, it looks like.
So vulnerable. But anyway, yeah, of course, he's going to be head on a swivel after his home gets robbed when they're not home, and then this happens, and then the law enforcement and the state is going to fight with this guy about the ability to defend himself. And of course, the real issue is you're making this guy the criminal.
Right.
Now what happens if, because of the lawlessness that has been instigated in part, at least in part, by Gascon, the DA there, the Soros-funded DA, just like the Soros-funded DA here named Fox. So if that happens again and he defends himself again, is he going to be arrested?
Well, that's true. Yeah, another text message. Still carry. How are they going to find out?
Well, the only way they'll find out is if it happens again, but it's already happened twice at his home. Randy in Orland Park.
Hey, hi Dan, Amy. Hey, let's just get right to it. This is plain retaliation on the state's attorney Gascon's office, even the LAPD, if they want to play a part to this, of retaliating against this homeowner, this citizen. He did it again. They're defending the system when it's being criticized by a lawful gun owner, and with evidence that shows that he needed to defend himself. It's retaliation against him. It's about the system, not about the public.
Exactly. Thanks for the call, Randy. It's exactly what we talk about with K through 12 education all the time. We talk defend the system at all costs. It's the system must be protected because that's how we all in the system survive and benefit. So do not criticize the system. The system, if we have to lose some people along the way, holding the system the way that we've designed it, the way that we control it, inviolate, that is what is most important. That's what you see in all of these civic and even now governmental institutions that are supposed to be the cornerstones of a free society. Protect the system at the expense of the free, law-abiding individual. Matt, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I was just wondering, this is taxation without representation. If citizens are paying taxes for the police to protect them, and they don't show up in a timely manner, I mean, why are we paying taxes at that point? And the other thing I wanted to say is
to house migrants.
Pardon me?
To house migrants. That's why you pay taxes.
And I used to preference things. I used to preference, like, you know what, it's not the rank and file, it's the upper echelon of the police department. At what point don't we say, you know what, these people are responsible too? We've learned in the past that people who just follow orders are just as dangerous and just as guilty as the ones giving the orders.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Yeah, the Nuremberg defense gets tiresome, doesn't it? Andy, Dallas, Texas.
So I am what I would consider to be a very reasonable gun owner. I'm ambivalent about gun shows and that, but background checks are fine. I feel the absolute need when I'm in Chicago to carry. When I'm in Texas, I don't really feel that need, although I do most of the time, and I have a fully stocked gun safe down here. But I'll tell you, the way to really to attack this problem, it's stop for the NRA and all the other gun groups. Stop with the gigantic donations to these politicians who can be bought for $10 more by someone else. Start flooding the system with lawsuits and just hit all these cities, municipalities, counties, hit them with lawsuits for damages, and just start bleeding the system of money. And I think that's the way that you really get back at it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Andy. It's complicated though, because it doesn't work in reverse when you think of essentially taking the posture of the police brutality cases. So the police brutality cases, that's a government agent that has exceeded his authority, has injured someone. That's pretty straightforward civil action, maybe a criminal, but certainly civil. It doesn't necessarily work in reverse when you're not afforded the protection that you deserve. When it's based on prosecutorial discretion under the statute that governs right to carry in California, for example. It's more complicated. It's tough to pierce the sovereign immunity veil with these guys. And, of course, that's purposeful because it's about protecting the system. But it's not a bad idea. I mean, certainly looking for openings. I'm all for it, looking for openings. Robert in Bloomingdale.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, Robert.
Yeah, how you doing? Here's my question that I want to ask. According to the story, they come into the house. The guy's in the house with his wife, children, and nanny drinking tea. They break in. How is it possible for the police to take away their guns when this is they're breaking and entering? That's unconstitutional, wouldn't you think?
Well, thanks for the call. Just to get the facts, he was at the front door, opening the front door, and the one guy accosted him, stuck the pistol in his back. They never got in the house because he turned and with his gun, and the guy started to flee, and he opened fire, and then he chased after him to ensure these guys were cleared off his property before he went back into his family. So they didn't break in, but they obviously were trespassing on his property. So I mean, and in terms of the unconstitutionality of revoking his right to carry license. Right to carry, because of the Bruen decision in New York last year, that is a constitutional issue. But in terms of the standards or the specifics of a particular case in which the state may move to revoke a concealed carry license, that's a little bit more complicated. Although, again, I don't see how California could make out a reasonable case to revoke his license in this case, based on what we saw. John in Libertyville.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I just want to know if maybe with all your contacts, you could ask Kim Foxx or maybe Governor J-Bag if it's legal for me as a citizen to shoot at someone just breaking into my car or maybe my house, like the Secret Service did, or shoot at 25-year-old Air Force veteran, 125-pound woman climbing through a window. They couldn't use their baton or their spray or their physical force, but the same policeman who was a lieutenant who left his Glock pistol in the bathroom at the Capitol, and then it turned into they thought a terrorist hit was setting up an attack. Just a wonderful government we have.
Thanks for the call, John. Sean Darien.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I've had a concealed carry for 5 years. I've never bought a gun because I was afraid I'd be like this guy, even worse, kill him, and then I'd be the one going to prison. But that changed a week ago when that thing happened in Beverly with that woman and her daughter. So I bought it. I bought a week ago, actually, a concealed carry and a another handgun, the 6 Hour 226, and I'm willing to use it and willing to deal with the consequences, whatever happens, because I'm sick of it, and I'm not going to be a victim, or neither is my family. Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks, Sean.
Good for you.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
Did you know most vitamin supplements have a warning label on the back? That's because without the synergy of thousands of nutrients working together that are found naturally in whole fruits and vegetables, vitamins are not balanced. This is why Balance of Nature only uses whole fruits and vegetables, no isolates or synthetic vitamins of any kind. We take a variety of 31 of the highest quality fruits and vegetables and remove the water without changing the rich chemistry. It's then ground to a powder, blended to perfection, and encapsulated, preserving the nutrients and making it easy to get the fruits and vegetables you need. So even though Balance of Nature comes in a capsule and looks like a vitamin, it's very different. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local, family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
What happened? From the studio that brought you Sound of Freedom.
Nice to finally meet you, Kevin.
Where did everybody go?
They didn't go anywhere. You did.
How many worlds would you cross to get back to the one you love?
Imagine everything you have ever wanted. Where's my wife?
This December.
Work for me and get back with the woman that you love.
I think the truth is that you're a liar.
We'll find my Molly.
The Shift. This film is not yet rated. Exclusively in theaters beginning December 1st. Go to angel.com/The Shift.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan, so I tweeted something out because Rosalind Carter died. I'm sure you've heard, 96 years old. They were married for 77 years. It was true love.
When you look back, what are you most proud of?
In my entire life's experience, I would say it was marrying my wife, Rosalind. She's been a very profound, beneficial factor in my entire existence, and still is.
Yeah, well, of course, he couldn't say his presidency. Couldn't be proud of that.
No, but so I tweeted out, like most couples married that long, he'll be joining her soon. Hashtag The Notebook. Because remember in The Notebook when they were married and she died and then he died right away?
So you just marked the former president for death. All right, we know who you have in the dead pool.
Okay. All right. Just you'll see. All right. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning. It's going to rain today, a high of 48 degrees. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
We could set more records at airports this Thanksgiving week. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. TSA predicts this will be the busiest holiday season ever, with 30 million airline passengers between last Friday and November 28th. Already this year, we've had 7 of the top 10 busiest flying days ever, and that's before Thanksgiving.
The FAA's command center, as usual, is working closely with airlines to plan for and plan around any disruptive weather.
That's Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Tomorrow and Wednesday and Sunday will be the most crowded times to fly. Next hour, President Biden, who's celebrating his 81st birthday, will continue the